Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Octane Online Racing ThermalTake WEC series. We're here at Portimao for round 7 of season 6. I'm joined by the great Cameron Thistlethwaite. How are you doing today, mate?
Zach, the cameraman. I can't believe you've done this, Benjamin. I can't believe it. But anyway, we're going to I'm very well, Loop Deep. Thank you very much for having me. You're going to be having Split Yellow all of tonight on the microphones. We'll be joined by lovely Liam Hamilton and having a great triplet. Yes, we won't use the other terms we've been using, but we're here at Portimao for round 7, the penultimate round of the WEC series here at Portimao, he already said. But yeah, looking good.
Yeah, definitely looking good, and we're currently just on board with, I believe this is Lucas Keys in the Alpine, just doing his quali laps. I believe we're into quali already, so just going on through. Good lap, good start, good way to go. Championship points are a little bit messy according to you, so I'm not going to 100% believe it. But from what it says, it says Patrick Johnston is only 8 points behind the current leader of Max Ricker. And then for the GT3s, it says that Shady Samuel and who did I say? Emerald Name are currently on the same amount of points. So that obviously could be wrong because of how the system works, but we'll find out at the end. I don't know.
We shall see. I don't think Patrick Johnston's definitely aware that he's in the running for the championship. He's kind of just, he's in another world sometimes. He's generally understimulated all the time. That is a quote from him. But yes, it'll be interesting to see how they go along here tonight. I believe Lucas Keys was meant to be going to a concert tonight, but he's a Chad like that and didn't go. That or something it got cancelled potentially. But we'll leave it up to your discretion to decide on which is which. But both Patrick and Lucas here tonight, and yeah, isn't that interesting, Luke?
It's in the Alpine instead of the Cadillac this time around, which might actually be in Patrick's favour here, but the list is looking very strong. We've also seen Lele pulling off some very great stints within those LMGT3s in the last few races. Obviously, I missed last week. Was last week an interesting race?
Yes, by myself. Thank you very much, Mr. I'm going to the F1.
I let everybody know a good 2-3 weeks before it even happened and made sure that I let everyone know weekly that I wasn't going to be here. Mainly because I was excited.
My head. I bought a graphics card instead, and that was more fun, I reckon. But anyway, to say the least. But yeah, last week was I was going to say it's so interesting, I can't remember. But yeah, it was honestly not too bad. It was a bit of a fight. It kind of all kicked off towards the end at Mount Fuji, and yeah, it ultimately get decided towards the end. Daniel Bedingfield absolutely decimated the field, as well as Top Bromo Emerald 9 in the GT class, like he has done for majority of the season, but a few wins have been taken by Shady Samuel for GTs, as well as the Shat and Lele as well. Obviously, when it came to the Hypers last week, the Lucas Keys had a little bit of a ding-dong with one of the Toyotas, I believe Max Rieke. Sorry, I apologize, I think it was Tim Vaughan. And ultimately, Lucas lost his second place with a mistake coming off the curb last week as well, so that was quite interesting. So yeah, kind of we'll interesting to see how that all develops once we see like the championship standings. I have my little bit doubts on how I believe SimGrid does their system, but we shall see. Speaking of Tim Vaughan, going well here, winner at the Kota round 5. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes along. Toyota's always looked pretty strong, to be honest, and especially in the hands of Tim Vaughan and Max Rieke right at the front there.
I'm not sure I like that comment about the our names both being 6 syllables and we should get married. Not sure how I feel about it. We'll see. It depends if he crashes into me again and then spins himself out. But
wow.
That's a good joke. 4 minutes and 40 seconds left of the qualifying here. We're on board currently with Lele. Again, quick driver, currently in third, about 1.3 seconds off of Emerald Name there in the front. And Smiles in between with only a little bit. Oh, there we go. Lele putting in a very good lap there, 45.1. While we look up at the Hypers, and Keys is currently out front with a 34.9. Almost a second ahead of Donnelly there. Or I'd say half a second there, not so much a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, as Max Ricker goes very wide, finds the gravel here. Not too many gravel traps around Portimao. Actually, there's probably quite a few, but there's enough runoff out there. You can generally get it back, but clearly not the case of the Toyota. Struggling a little bit. Obviously, these hypercars are not do not have access to their tire warmers, unlike the GT fields. So they do find it a lot harder to make up their time. Generally towards the end they'll do like the one set of tires. There's no real point into changing tires, even for the GTs. No real point to change tires because tire warm-up is definitely a lot more rough, I find, on LMU than it is on ACC, or at least affects the temperature affects the tires a lot more. Ben Vintoner right now currently sizing himself up, going for a lap, and gonna round through the final corner, turn 15, called Galp. That's it, GALP. So here in Portimao might be a few tricky corner names, but running down the straight, we'll see how he goes into turn 1, Primera. Not bad, must have named it after the Nissan. Probably not, but goes through into turn 2 and turn 3 as well. So kind of getting it slow stopped a little bit wide, ran a little bit wide on the exit, had to sweep it back and the run onto the mini back straight. And a hard stop here. Have you driven Portimao, Loopy?
I have not, and I'm trying to figure out which track layout I'm supposed to be looking at here. Oh, is it the same as the F1 version?
Yeah. It's the same as the F1 version.
I have found it.
The general layout. But yeah, very undulating, very tops and turbo. I was to say, you used to be a bit of an F1 player. Sure, you may have played it once on the F1 game. We did go there for, I think, 2 seasons in F1, but yeah, I think I've only driven it once in the F1 game, and obviously in this game as well. It is pretty scary a little bit with how much the undulation does change, but it makes it kind of tricky to attack the braking zones. But yeah, Lukey to LMU next season, promise.
Yeah, look, that was a promise if I won a race, and so far no races have been won for me, so we'll see how it goes in at Zolder for next week's ACC Sprint Series. So, but right now
we're on 3 opportunities.
I do. I have 3 opportunities. Surely I can get one of the reverse grids, but that's all right. 1 minute 40 left of this qualifying session. Looking good there for... Oh my gosh, a little bit loose on the exit, actually. That did not look great coming out of there. I believe that is... Is that Benny Vintoner?
That is indeed.
Yeah, he's doing well. Had a good race with him yesterday, at least from my angle. I don't think he enjoyed it so much, so he's definitely got the pace and the strength. But he's going between LMU and ACC at the moment, so there's obviously a pace differential there, having to play the 2 different games to figure out the different force feedbacks as well. And I think a few of these drivers also do struggle with that as you do head across into either one. And we see there's no change up. He's not up into the top 5 with that lap that he did, but he's gone for another one now with the minute left of qualifying.
Yeah, I think he invalidated on the end of the lap there as well, because I did see him hit the brakes, and I think he was trying not to get a track limit because it would have invalidated the next lap. But unfortunately kind of ruined. So, but he did get around to go again. I'm not sure if he'll have time to get around for another lap. But Patrick Johnson back in the Alpine. He definitely, intended to race the Cadillac last week, and definitely didn't forget to change the car in the whitelist. So that's a little bit of an oopsie for Mr. Johnston, along with Lucas in the in the Alpine. Interesting to see Tim Vaughan. I haven't really touched on the leaders for Hypers. Tim Vaughan right up there at the front. Obviously, no Daniel Betterfield from evidence. Last week's winner in the Ferrari, and obviously kind of the class of the field, to be honest, when it comes to LMU. I don't think anyone will kind of disagree with me with that as well when it comes to even the top hypercar drivers. But Peter Papiano there in the Peugeot in P2 right now, looking very good. Peugeot, Wing Peugeot is actually kind of, it's pretty decent at some tracks as well. We'll see how he goes on. Looks like his final run. Sweeping through the last couple of corners, turn 13, that looks very wide. That is he did miss the apex quite substantially there, so it would have been a considerable amount of time lost as he's got 2 corners to go. Goes around the sweeping right-hander of Sagres. I don't know. There's any Portuguese people there can comment, and that looks very wide, very wide. I'll be surprised if he keeps it in. He does keep it in, but surely a lot of time lost for Peter Papiano. Does he improve? It will be quite surprising. And that'll be a no.
No, but still not a bad time. Only just 4/10 off of Vaughan there in the Toyota, and Keys not far behind that with Johnston. Again, not really far behind Keys there, but they're still on a lap right now. So looking very strong, and I'm just looking at the GT3s as well, and looks like Saxon Hayes has made his way into the top 3, and it looks like Admiral Name and Shady Samuel, who, according to the championship leaderboard, are on the exact same amount of points, so this should be an interesting race for those two tonight in the GT3 field, so we'll keep an eye out for those two specifically. But looking over at the Hypers and I think the GT3s as well, it looks like everyone's kind of finishing their last laps. We're going to see if anybody does manage to move around. I'm not seeing really anybody. It's looking like it is probably going to end there with those positions in place. Who is that currently right there? I can't see them.
Max Ricker.
Ricker? Oh, Max Ricker trying to make his way up. This will be probably the final car on the grid, at least on the track. So we'll see how well he's going to do. He's moving around. He's currently in 5th position, 9/10 off of the leader. It's looking like he's at least doing a bit better than his last laps, but he's still a little bit off that leader time. As he comes around towards, this is the later stages of the track, I believe. Here he comes. We're getting just about right. Want to reach that end of that track limit, so I'm going to see here the time. Was it improved?
Teams and drivers
no, it doesn't look like it.
For a race start.
No. He'll be quite disappointed considering the gap between him and Vaughan, obviously in the same machinery. Obviously the setups might different, but those two have always been very close when it comes to pace throughout the whole season. And Max Ricker's consistency has obviously bagged him quite a lot of points. So obviously we're kind of down, maybe having some doubts over the points standings. But I'd actually, it's because of Max Ricker's consistency, I wouldn't be too surprised to see him at the front. But it's going to be Tim Vaughan ahead of Peter Papiano for a Toyota Peugeot front row, and then Alpines are plenty on row 2 for Lucas Keys and Patrick Johnston. Let's just see how those boys get on. Max Ricker and Chris Donnelly. Shout out to Donnelly as well. We didn't comment on him too much. He was in that top 5 for the most part. Just got pipped at the end. And Ben Vinton and Xavier Eaton make up row 4. Row 5 will be Ricky Packham and Mark Bushell. Mark Bushell's abandoned the Peugeot, thank goodness.
Oh
he's
my
given
God.
up the non-wing Peugeot, and he's come back to something sensible. Harry Lawrence and Steve Lewis come back. Sorry, did I hurt your ears there?
No, I've just never thought I'd see the day there'd be in a no-wing Peugeot.
Yeah, we've finally managed to get him off it because he's been running that thing for a long time. It does differ a bit. It's not just a no-wing. It does have like some other quirks to it. But he's been piloting it, and I think he's finally given up the ghost. But interesting to see how the GT field get on as well. Saxon Hayes and Shannon Lely on that second row will be quite interesting. Saxon did have actually some very decent pace in the races that he's been showing up to in the last couple of rounds. But it'll be rounding up and starting to go on our formation laps. Thoughts from you, Luke, the prediction?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of Mercedes out there, but I'm thinking it's going to be a close battle between Shady Samuel and Tok Bromo. I reckon Keys will probably make his way just a little bit up, but again, it's that traffic play that always does enter the equation. So we will see certainly an interesting race tonight at Portimao, and I am very excited. Hopefully no crash on T1.
Yep, fingers crossed. All the good luck that we can assume out there from the commentary box, but it will be Tim Vaughan on the right side, currently on the now left side as the camera switches on, but he'll be on the left side of your screen in a Toyota. Peter Papiano on the right side. We'll see which one gets the better jump, and holding for quite a while, but it's generally LMU likes to let them wait sometimes, and a very long straight as well, actually. It's going to be a very short run to turn 1. We're still teetering along at 80 kilometers an hour, but it looks like we're already going, and it is a good start potentially from the Alpine behind Tim Vaughan right now. Lucas Keys going to go in between, but actually Patrick Johnson is going to get ahead between the two Alpines. Peter Papiano goes wide and goes very wide there, checking up the two Alpines, and Lucas actually going through potentially side by side with Peter on the Peugeot and up the inside into the hairpin. Potentially might give him the run as he cut across, but the Peugeot's still there. He has to leave the gap, and Patrick Johnson now potentially going to have a go at Peter Papiano right now, but it is Lucas Keys up to P2 from P3. Peter drops back to P4 right now. The BMWs are Chris Donnelly and Ben Vincent are going for a bit of a battle just behind these guys, as well as the leader Tim Vaughan starts to scamper away a little bit as he sees Lucas already up into P2. It's going to be a threat for sure, and Chris Donnelly very wide there, very deep, and avoids the back of Peter Papiano, thankfully. does go wide, might have got a track limit already. And I think we'll see a few more instances of that, a few mistakes happening out there. But the guys side through and they get through quite cleanly. It looks like Shady Samuel has got up to first place ahead of Top Bromo for the GT field. So it's going to be a little bit of change there up at the front. And oh, as I say that, as Shady goes very wide in the Aston Martin, maybe unfamiliar with the machinery as he's been piloting the McLaren all season. But Top Bromo just going to tuck in behind in the sort of red-backed Corvette. But gets a little bit deep and has to avoid the back of the Aston Martin. That's why it's got the Aston Martin of Saxon Hayes just behind him. Otherwise, pretty clean lap, though, I have to say, Luke.
Yeah, no, very clean lap, and even with the side-by-side, seems everyone's come out clean. The racing within the hypers is looking a little bit spicy. Johnston just losing a little bit pace there on Lucas Keys and Vaughan, so he's going to have to be backing up towards Peter Papiano, who is definitely catching him just at a slow pace. And Donnelly, really not that far behind, up in 5th now, so doing really well there for the hypers. And yeah, again, that GT3 field, the change-up of the leaders pretty much off the start is a good way to start this race off, especially with such a tight battle in our hands for them. And we're seeing just kind of the lines form out as we head around, and we have got 42 minutes, or almost 43 minutes left of this race, so lots of time for anything to happen. As we do have, I believe that's Xavier Eaton just getting a little bit slow on the corner there, and I think that's Benny Vincent is going to go for the move on the outside of this corner, looking for a switchback maybe. Don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. These hypers just have so much grip, but at the start of this race, I imagine their tyres would still be pretty cool.
Yeah, a little bit cool, still not up to the prime window, but the short formation that does give him quite a bit of heat. Xavier Eaton looks like he's going to retain that, I believe, P6 or P6 right now for the Ferrari, and looking well. I do apologise for the floating. Despite Asian service, the spectator cam for some reason still has quite a bit of a delay to it between the cars, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of a the free floating even from the GT fields. Is going to say the hypercars are the worst offenders when it comes to it, but yeah, honestly, not too bad. I was talking about the start was pretty clean in comparison to last week at Mount Fuji. We all saw that massive accident between the two hypers. It was definitely squeaky clean in comparison to the last week.
I think anything would be clean compared to last week, apart from maybe some of the split yellow and red races, which I'm very excited to call tonight. But yeah, again, Top Bromo slowly just losing a little bit of time to Shady Samuel, just waiting for a mistake from the Aston Martin ahead. That Corvette not looking slow at all. Saxon Hayes has dropped off a bit, but has a gap to the cars behind him as well, so there's a bit of a gap on both sides of Saxon Hayes back there as well. We're currently just seeing as they head to T1 here, and just how much he catches as they enter that corner. But it looks like he might have came in too fast and has actually lost a bit of time on the exit from that.
Yeah, it looks like did go deep a little bit. Didn't really get his turn in, missed the apex, and subsequently kind of went 4 wheels over the track. Track limits is kind of brutal here because of how many corners. It kind of feels a bit like a MotoGP track, to be honest, with some of the corners around here. Very technical, very hard to, or good on the brakes though. It's Admiral 9 in the Corvette does get it quite stopped very nicely, and is going to give Shady Samuel a long 40 minutes here surely for this. We'll love that in the commentary booth, but yeah, not sure what that nameplate, what's happening there, but we'll leave it at that. But
I believe that's a view back to the pits, so it's kind of just picking up the name in the pits from someone who is not here this week.
We'll gloss over that, but yeah, interesting to see how Saxon Hayes or Admiral, different lines, different approaches to some of these corners that we're seeing. Obviously the Corvette being mid-engine, the first of its kind, but Peter Papiano looks like he's going to really give Patrick Johnston a good thrashing potentially into turn 1, but no, it doesn't get far enough alongside. But they both go so wide. Surely some track limits from both of them. But yeah, that was definitely not how you do turn 1. But definitely looks like Peter's really on the pace now, getting a little bit more of an undercut. And awkward kind of altered the line there a little bit there for Patrick, but nothing coming of it so far. But yeah, Patrick's really on the threat right now. The Peugeot is looking very good, especially between those through those last couple of corners. Like the Peugeot looks very strong through those.
Yeah, 100%. But it's a matter of whether Patrick can hold off and defend for as long as he can. Obviously, again, they still have time. Oh, there's a bit of a slide there from Patrick, and it might give Peter just the run on the outside, but looks like Patrick's managed to keep just enough pace to keep up ahead. We're going to watch these two very carefully here as they enter into another turn. And it looks like Peter's going to have the wider line entry, which means he should get more speed on the exit. I think Patrick's managed to hold that pretty well, though, to keep ahead. But, yeah, I can see in the chat we're discussing currently, the track does very much look like it is a MotoGP track. I'm going to actually do a little bit of research for a second, Cam, and see if I can get some history on the track.
Yep, and yeah, to be honest, other than that, I'm not too familiar with it, other than that when WEC has come to it, there was a couple of years that we had the F1 here, but I'm not actually sure whether it is a bike track or not specifically, but we'll leave it at that. But Peter's got a good run again along the straight, but the straight really kind of ends pretty quickly when you're trying to get a good slipstream, and Patrick goes all four wheels over the track again. Surely he's going to be picking up some penalties, indeed, in the Alpine, as Patrick is a little bit squirrely out there, but the Alpine is still doing a good job. But he's not doing too badly. We'll see what Patrick does. Maybe he has to turn his music off and actually kind of focus on the race potentially.
So some talk about the track. So the track was built and sanctioned by for the FIM and the FIA. So the FIM is for the motorbikes, and it hosted the final round of the World Superbike Championships on the 2nd of November 2008. So very much was built to accommodate for motorbikes and cars, but I think it was mainly built around the motorbikes and the World Superbikes back then specifically.
That's good. Some good lore dump from Luke D there. We're looking here, the two Mercedes of Dylan King and Graham Hill in some pair of fetching custom liveries. I'm not too sure what Dylan King's is a reference to, but clearly Graham Hill's is the Initial D tribute that ran at Bathurst this year. And unfortunately, hopefully his race goes a lot better than that car ended up doing in that particular race. But we'll see. I think it's maybe I want to say maybe a Pikachu livery is Dylan King's right now. But again, these two, the fight for P3. Peter Papiano ducks out. Does he have enough of Olaf? No, he doesn't. You really need to be right up there and alongside. Patrick goes wide again. I'm not too sure if we'll see Patrick still make the race without getting a drive-through at this rate, but he's really under threat now, and it keeps Chris Donnelly and Xavier Eaton in check behind him, keeping them very close to this battle, because clearly Papiano's got the pace right now, but Patrick is, it's hard to get a move done here, and Patrick's not going to move over and let him go as well. He's gone from being the hunter last night to being the hunted tonight. Already probably missing his Bentley, I imagine, but Graham Hill still chasing down Dylan King with Layla Bell in the Lexus just behind them, as well as this kind of fight, I believe, from P6 to P8. But still, Shady Samuel, Amaral 9, and Saxon Hayes makes up the top three in the LM GT3 field, with Lele P4 and Benjamin Curtis in P5, just ahead of these guys in the Fanatic Mercedes as well. A lot of Mercedes, everyone's changed to the Merc as of recently. And yeah, it's something you don't see very often, that many Mercedes, especially for us ACC players.
Yeah, no, it is always interesting when you see the difference between the games as well, and how much we're kind of missing out with ACC. But yeah, another fun fact for Portimao really quickly while we just have a little moment of peace. This track has 30 different track configurations. That's 32 different track configurations for this, with obviously ones for the F1 and different motorbikes and all of that. They also have a karting track around here, so it is a very interesting track, Portimao. I think it's probably one of the better ones. And here, Patrick Johnson again fighting Peter Papiano off, and they're just going to be back and forth all race. It's starting to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like Peter is just so much stronger, particularly at the last part of the lap, and then getting that run on the straight and just keeping Patrick really under threat right now. But he is definitely kind of struggling, and I think it might just keep going on for a few laps, and same for these guys as well. But yeah, not too surprised to see that many configurations, to be honest, with one of the, given that it was built in the last 20 years, the modern racetracks, they try to get every bang of the buck out, and Definitely a lot of racetracks I think actually have nearby karting tracks, like within, sometimes even within the actual inside of the track. I've seen some places, but yeah, not too surprising. I mean, to be honest, Eastern Creek near me has a karting track right next to it.
Yeah, I'm surprised Albert Park doesn't have a karting track, but I guess there's enough around Melbourne for some.
I mean, that one's a park, to be fair. Like,
yeah, but come on, let us have a little karting track.
Dedicated racetrack.
And a little bit of information there from Craig Dale as well. The first F1's first races in 2009, so a race there in 2009, and then didn't return there until 2020 due to COVID.
Yeah, I watched 2009. It did not show up there. I call your bluff.
I will.
Dale, but Peter Papiano was going up the inside of the hairpin. I'm sorry to interrupt and to deflect already, but Peter Papiano has absolutely sent it into the hairpin and got ahead of Patrick Johnston. But back to 2009. Yeah,
Sorry, having a look.
I really doubt it.
There was a Formula One test session for 2008. And then I'm just having a quick look. Give me 1 minute. On 4th of April 2009, it could be integrated to F1. So they were looking at integrating it into F1 in 2009. Just having a look to see if there's anything actually relating to an actual race.
No,
that is looking a bit crazy.
Back. Yeah, he's just hit the back of the McLaren there, the Inception Racing, and they already started to filter and didn't register the fact that we're already caught the GT field, and these guys are just trying to do their own race. I'm not sure. I think that was Faizan that did hit like that. Oh, Layla Bell off as well, and potentially a mistake from Layla there. Definitely looked a little bit more of a full stop, I have to say. But Peter Papiano and Lucas Keys already starting to come through the field now, and you can see that these guys are getting through. Peter's having to wait a little bit as he does get through all these cars and then gets past the Pidgey brothers as well, the Pidgey teammates. Matt Madden out there, actually, nice to see him racing, considering he won't be around for Split Red. He's feeling a little bit croaky, understandably, and definitely not going to race as Patrick Johnston. He's going to send it. Speaking of sending, Xavier, he did send it on the inside of Chris Donnelly there, and both of them made a slight bit of contact. And I think Xavier's gotten properly out of it. He knew he had made a complete mess of all that, and all these guys are trying to side through. Harry Smiles there in the Gold Porsche, trying not to get in the way of Chris Donnelly, but just trying to do his line as well. It is so difficult to get around the traffic around here. We're seeing all sorts of shenanigans going on, and ultimately Patrick Johnston's still not that far away from Peter Papiano in all of that as well. But Tim Bourne, I think, definitely lost a lot of time to Lucas Keys.
Also, having a look in the background there of that little battle, the Pidgey racers got into a little bit of a battle there, and I think a pass was made by one of the Pidgey boys around the McLaren. So I think the Aston Pidgey racers car managed to get around the McLaren one, but some good battles there and some good racing for what it looked like. A bit scary with obviously the hypercars coming through. This is what I was talking about earlier, and we've got a replay here. I believe this is a incident with the Lexus here, just getting on the inside of Merc, a little bit of touching, and got very loose on that curb. So I'm not sure if that was an actual incident, not left enough room, or if that was more of just a simple racing incident.
Yeah, that's a little bit tricky to tell. May have had may have been squeezed onto the curb, or may have just gone in too deep. But I'm sure I'll go to the stewards. You can see the evidence of it. It's left a nice mark on the rear of the Mercedes. So we can definitely say that it was contact. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was very much for sure. And you could see how much it has affected the race for the Hypers. As you can see, look at the gaps between, even in the GT3s, the gaps between all the cars now has increased quite a bit to about a second for at least Papiano and Johnston. And then you've also got the same pretty much in the GT3. So we got another replay here of one of the hypercars. I believe this is Xavier Eaton, and he's just lost it coming into the turn. It looks like he's locked up and overcorrected the wrong way, and he's gone off the track. We're going to just watch this rejoin, see how well he does it. It looks like...
Oh, no.
That didn't seem like the best rejoin there, Xavier. He looks like he's just gotten a bit impatient there and not left the room. But very, very much not great for him, and we're back on board now with Benny V, currently just moving around and it looks like chasing after Donnelly there, who is successfully getting through this GT3 traffic. Oh, there's another incident right in front of us. No, there's a bit of contact. Two cars mid-corner.
Oh, it was Layla Bell and Harry Smiles, I believe. The Porsche and the Lexus absolutely fly off the track just ahead of Ben Vincent right there. Oh my goodness. Poor big Benjamin Hignett on the canvas has got all the work to do. But we see here they're running side by side, I believe, coming up into turn 6, no, turn 7. Please don't. Oh, the Porsche just caught the inside curb and got a little bit of a swap and just slammed into the Lexus. Lexus did tap the barrier as they both rejoin. Please rejoin safely rejoin. Yes, no, unfortunately, yeah, we're seeing the hypers obviously coming through the field. Not necessarily it was any fault of that, but it's just scrambling the minds a little bit right now for these GT drivers. There's a lot to handle. They're trying to race themselves as well as all these just hypercars, just just proving you're making lots of distractions for these drivers, and ultimately small mistakes like that can really happen. I will say, having raced here before in a hyper as well, it's probably one of the hardest tracks actually to get past some cars, because it is quite single line, especially through these couple of corners that we're seeing here as well. And you could, in theory, you could send it up the inside of a GT into that hairpin, but you just can't brake too late. And speaking of braking late, Dave Stevenson really nearly got a little bit of a nibble there from his teammate Matt Madden in the McLaren. But these two giving Faizan a little bit of a challenge. I'm not too familiar with Faizan. I'm not sure if he's a recently new signed up entry, but he's doing a good job right now. I'm not too sure what position these guys are fighting for right now, but a little bit down the field, but still doing good jobs.
Yeah, look, these two are racing quite hard, and they're clearly teammates. I might give Matt Madden a call if I see him actually take Davo out here. But it's looking like they're keeping it clean. Mid-race, I'll give him a call, see if he answers.
Sorry, yeah. It's probably number 2 as well.
We'll just keep calling him until he answers. But we'll jump back on with the hypers here as we see Benny V right on the back of Donnelly now. Whether that's from GT3 traffic or if Vincent has just had that little bit of extra pace. They're both in the BMWs, I believe. And it looks like he's not going to have the run this time around, I don't think. So it'll be in the coming corners if they do. I'm just looking at the top for the yellow flag because I know that usually... Oh, he's gone wide there. That's going to be surely the track limits.
Yeah, for sure. Especially all 4 wheels like that. It's pretty incredible. He might have been able to back off a little bit. He has dropped back a little bit. Dave Stevenson, a little banging doors there, a little bit of a rub with Faizan right now. Steve Lewis in the Porsche hypercar having to side through. He's boxed in a little bit right now. He's trying to go on the left side.
Oh!
No. That was never going to open up. Oh dear, that was a little bit. Matt is going to try and draw alongside. Oh, we're going to have 3 wide into turn 1, but no, it's going to be Steve Stevenson just ahead of Faizan in the McLaren, and they just avoid contact, potentially more contact still. Now Lucas Marshall in the Mercedes has joined this fight to give Matt Madden a whole heap of trouble right now, but thankfully everyone's still going intact. I was so scared that we were going to have a proper GT and hypercar crash there, Luke.
There is certainly a lot of things going on at the moment, and a lot of cars way too close to each other. They need to sort some of this out. And it looks like there's just a little bit of damage there on Matt Madden's car on the front of it, so I'm wondering if he might have been having a little bit of issues or if that's just a paint design. But he's still pushing along, and it looks like he'll probably go for a move soon if he can on that the McLaren just ahead. And yeah, as you said, Marshall just right up behind now in that Mercedes, probably looking for any more mistakes or anything else that he can use to make a pass on Matt Madden there in the PG Boys racing car.
Yeah, sorry, Lucky.
I was just saying, David Stevenson just getting a bit more away there from that red McLaren, and yeah, definitely moving quite along, and yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I believe right there we got Brian Kong in the Mercedes. Look how many Mercedes are on this track. 3 just on this straight right here, going along right now. There's quite a few. I think this feels like it might be the car of choice for Portimao.
Yeah, I just did recall in the chat. Oh dear, what is that?
Oh my gosh!
What a Toyota doing? I think that was Max Ricker. Oh my goodness, we need a replay of that. He tried to, I don't know if he just missed his braking moment, but he absolutely just fired it over the apex, caught the sausage curb, went for a small fleet. Potentially that is the championship leader, Max Ricker in the Toyota, I believe, went flying there. But that just, surely that was obviously not the plan. Yep. You've seen hypercars go for small flights. We've got a replay here. Thank you very much to Ben. That is Max Ricker, and I'm not sure if he's intending to send it on the Mercedes up ahead, the yellow Mercedes. I don't know if Dylan King's actually leaving in the space, but you think he just tries to get out of it because he knows Mr. Brake so much. He absolutely goes airborne. Thankfully comes down all four wheels. I'm not sure if he still caught it or went for a spin afterwards, but yeah, really not the plan for Max Ricker. That is spectacular action there. As Mark Scape would say, Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, that was a bit crazy. So definitely not how you want to do it in the hypers, especially around here. But it looks like all of the Mercedes have come out unscathed, and I think we'll just keep an eye out to see if we do see Max Ricker start coming past again. Which maybe that was him in the background there, on that long shot. But we'll find out soon. Again, these Mercedes just driving quite well. I believe that's Brian Conn, followed by, is that Graham Hill just behind him? We've got another replay here. It's the Mercedes of, I know who that is, but they overtook Matt Madden. It looks like Marshall, very clean pass there. We do have a stewards update coming in from our boys in the stewards box. We're just going to wait for those messages to come through, and we will update you as they come in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised. From what we've seen tonight, there's been quite a few moments that does acquire the attention of the stewards, and obviously we're kind of working around what we have when it comes to LMU. But we'll see what happens. We leave. There we go. We're coming in. Thank you very much to Matt Powell, I believe, in chat. 5-second penalty, car 87 for a bump pass, lap 8. I'm not too remember. Problem is, I don't remember numbers because LMU doesn't really do numbers when on the cars at least. Sometimes it doesn't show up. 15-second penalty, so car 77, lap 9. I think that's Lucas or Patrick because they love the car 77 to say the least.
Yeah, I'm just going into the championship now and having a quick look to see if I can maybe see whose car's numbers are what. I will update you with who they are in just a minute.
I want to say Cricky because he always runs 87, but I'm not sure if he's here tonight.
Looking at it, so I believe if these are the right numbers, it should be alright. So car 77 is one of the GT3s. It is Harry Smiles.
That might have been that contact that we saw with Layla Bell where he just had that unfortunate little moment and took the Lexus with him as well. So yeah, unfortunately for that one, kind of understandable penalty as well.
And I can't find car 87. I might be blind. Oh, there it is. It's Layla Bell. Layla Bell is car 87.
I think that might have been. We did see Layla have a contact with and go for a spin, but I'm not sure if that was
It was from a bump pass for Layla Bell, and then the penalty was Harry Smiles. So I'm wondering if there's a bump pass from Layla Bell, and then Harry Smiles has maybe just had an incident a lap later, from what it looks like. Probably it seems like the same car.
Yeah, we saw that they both fired off into the gravel. I think it was a few laps later. It kind of lines up potentially with what we saw on the first replay. We saw Matt Madden getting also close to Faizan just up ahead. Tim Vaughan, the hypercar leader, goes through, and he's got a 5-second gap to Lucas Keys. We really haven't looked at Tim too much, but Faizan sends it on the inside. He's going to clatter into the door of Lucas Marshall there, and he's going to hold up Matt Madden. Harry Spells has to get on the anchors as well. But that's Tim Vaughan's off because Tim Vaughan's gone for a spin at turn 3.
Is that let Lucas Keys through? Lucas Keys is now through, and so is Peter Papagiano. He's lost 2 positions from that spin, and it looks like Matt Madden now has a run on Pfizer as well, and he looks like he's going to go for the opportunity on the inside. I don't know if this is going to be messed with by Lucas Keys in the high. Oh, there's contact a little bit, but it looks like they've made it through cleanly enough. Matt Madden not going to have the exit, obviously very slow through there after that. A little bit of a tap, and Peter's going to try to make his way through before they reach the next turn. Oh my gosh! Yeah, there's collision! Oh my god! And Matt Madden's
do they all avoid? Yes, they do, just about. They both spin, but Paisan and Peter Papagiano making contact there at turn 7, and ultimately both losing out. Puts Tim Vaughan back up to P2 after being in P3 from that spin. I think all by lonesome. Goes around the outside of Matt Madden as well. The GTs thought they could fight for fight for their, a little bit, have a little bit of their own battle, but the hypercars came in the right and said, nope, we're gonna really, not necessarily disrupt it, but we're just gonna add a bit more fuel to the fire. We've got a replay here. So it was Tim Vaughan after he just cleared those cars we saw, and he's got a little bit of a swapper, and he just locked the rears. We've seen that a few times, especially with these LMH cars, and battery regen locking rears. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Given the F1 last week. Oh, electrical energy, yes. Don't you love the electrical energy? I know some people are going to get energy, but Peter Papiano not far from Tim Vaughan, despite that spin. But both of these cars, Peter Papiano's up. What is he going to... Can we have a moment, Peter?
All right, here we go. Here's another... he's just gone, disappeared again in the background, and it's not looking good there. We're going to get a replay of, I believe, this is the GT3 chaos, so... A little bit of a touch there, and then you see Peter Papiano just making his way through the cars here, and I think he's looking just to get on the inside for the turns, that way he can get around, and he's just centered, and it's like the GT3 car just didn't see he was there, and obviously Hypers have to get through safely, so I'm not sure how the stewards are going to call it, as he was kind of already alongside, but I don't know if he maybe should have waited for the corner.
Yeah, I think that's a really hard one to call. I think I know which way it's going to go, though. I can see how Peter's approaching, because he did get alongside, but it was quite last minute. And also, you're really putting a lot of trust into the driver to see you as well. And especially, you kind of have to know, potentially, if you did that on someone that you know and someone's quite experienced, that's someone who's, good in, knows where every car is around them, that could have probably worked. They probably would have seen you. But I think it was maybe a little bit last minute from Peter Papiano there. But we'll see what the stewards do. Unfortunately, obviously that sent them both into the spin. So unfortunately, Faizan obviously coming undone there as well, and we saw Peter go off at turn 1. Not too sure what happened there, but looks like I think he recovered fine. He just completely maybe had a little bit of a moment. As I said, tried to say at the time, Tim Vaughan, Papiano, surely those guys, their tyres are really have suffered from those spins.
Well, looking at it, it does look like Lucas is just keeping about a 6-second gap, but Vaughan's not really going slow either. He is slowly catching Lucas there anyway. Papiano just a little bit less pace than Vaughan now, and dropping off quite quickly, but we are seeing Tim Vaughan has definitely got enough pace to catch back up to Lucas by the end of these 17 minutes, so this could lead to an interesting race. Looking down at GT3s very quickly, just for the leaders, as a quick update at the 17-minute mark. Shady Samuel's still out front, 3 seconds ahead of Tok Bromo. Lele a little bit further behind Tok Bromo there as well. And then Saxon Hayes, who did start in third, is now in fourth. So Lele's obviously gotten past at some point. I think my brain has just managed to forget that. And Diabol's really not that far behind Saxon Hayes there either. Just kind of chilling there in fifth place. The Hype is also looking like a strong field out there tonight, with Lucas Keys in the lead now, obviously after that Tim Vaughan, who we see on the left there's incident. Who's now in second place, 6 seconds behind Lucas Keys. Peter Papiano 9 seconds back, and Johnston even further, with Donnelly actually looks like he's catching the back of Patrick Johnston there, so could be on for an interesting battle between that BMW and the Alpine. And we know Donnelly was in a battle with Benny Vincent, and that's Tim Vaughan off again. Oh no, what's happened there? I think he might have had to brake because there was a GT3 on the exit, and he just lost it because of the braking. I don't know. We're gonna have to see a replay of that as well. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, so Ben Higner, for all of these replays. And here we go. Here's a replay. He comes out of the corner. He's side by side with that GT3. He's looking good here. It looks like he got air there, but that's normal. And then, trying to avoid the GT3. He's collided with them. No. So he's just come in with a little bit too much speed and just tapped the side of that GT3 and has completely lost it. Not really good for Tim Vaughan, as he's now dropped out of the top 5 for the Hypers.
Oh, Ben Curtis in the Fnatic livery car that we're seeing at the head of these guys right now. He's dropped back to the other Mercedes, potentially maybe that damage, or he had his cage really rattled by that contact from the hypercar. But yeah, that was incredible as well for the Tim Vaughan not to get not to spin out the Mercedes. Frankly, the Mercedes was just built like a beast and didn't shift at all, barely even noticed. I'm sure he noticed a little bit. But yeah, unfortunately, Tim just, I think, just tried to sod what's happening there. But these guys are still fighting right now. It's really hard to cover anything because it's just action station, left, right, and center. Ben Hignet's second PEC is probably blowing up right now with all the replays that we've been throwing at it. But these guys still providing some great action. But yeah, Ben Curtis.
Oh my god.
Oh,
what happened to Peter there? Peter Papiano as well. He's dropped down all the way.
He's got to go for a spin.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, when it rained, it pours for these Tim Board and Papiano absolutely having a mare out there right now. And I'm not sure if there was contact with Saxon Hayes because we did see he has really slowed up a lot and he's fallen back to these guys. He was substantially up the field ahead as well by a few seconds. Ben Vincent trying to side through these guys, these hypers. Oh my goodness, right now, these poor GTs trying to do their best right now. But I want to say potentially there was contact between Saxon and Peter. There might be just people losing their tempers, not potentially tempers, but just losing concentration, maybe a little bit impatience, trying to make up for the results. Ben King getting so close to the back of Ben Curtis and Harry Lawrence in the Alpine trying to get through as well right now. When you think the hypercars have all gotten through, nope, we'll send another one. And he gets through on Ben Curtis as well. But we'll see the replay here right now. Peter Papiano on the outside of Saxon Hayes, and he just clips him because the GT is trying to do its line, and it understeers naturally wide to the apex, to the racing line. And Peter Papiano, I just saw Papiano lost the rear wing. That's what I just saw flick off right there. It's gone back to the wingless Peugeot.
He's also no longer in the top 5, and Lawrence has taken up that position in 5th place. Again, Saxon Hayes losing a lot of time there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, bit crazy there, and it moves Patrick Johnston up into 2nd place for the Hypers, which is very, very good for his for this championship for his case. But it's this train of GT3s. Having a train this long of GT3s that are this close together, you're always going to struggle as a hypercar to get through because these cars are fighting. So you're going to have them side by side. You're going to have them wanting to take the best line. And obviously they have the right to take the line that is the standard racing line for a GT3, but it makes it so difficult for a hypercar who's also in a battle to get through, especially when they're chasing everybody. And it is crazy how this race has turned into an Alpine 1-2 after it was originally, what was it? It was Toyota, then Alpine, then Peugeot, then Alpine again. So it has changed up quite a bit since the start. And there's also 2 BMWs in the top 4 as well. And I'm not too sure what Lawrence is in at the moment, so that could also be another one of the manufacturers up at the top, which would be very funny.
It's another Alpine.
It's another Alpine. So 3 Alpines in the top 5, which is very great. But yeah, this battle down here with all these Mercedes and the Porsche at the back as well. Didn't even see the Porsche back there, just waiting to strike behind these Mercedes. This battle is going on and on and on. I don't know when it's going to stop, but it looks like maybe a little bit of struggle there for Dylan King trying to get around that corner, and it's slowed down Graham Hill there, which I think has allowed Harry just to get right on the back there.
Yeah, it looks like Saxon maybe's found his composure back after that incident with Papiano. He's already starting to pull away from Ben Curtis. But yeah, these guys have had an absolute crazy couple of laps. It's been these all been stuck together. We've maybe ticked a few of them off. Harry Smiles and Layla Bell disappeared from this little battle, but it is the battle ultimately for P5. That is the position being held by Ben Curtis in the lead Mercedes. As they come over the crest now, Mark Bushell in the Toyota just trying to get through, and just one by one, just tick them off. And I was talking about, I did say like this is probably one of the hardest tracks to negotiate traffic because every corner you just go from the left side of the track to the right side of the track, and then just back forth. It's just constant deviation, crossing lines. And we did see that with Saxon and Peter Papiano. It'll be interesting to see how that goes in the steward's box because, to be honest, the GTs are kind of at the limit. It's a flat-out corner. You go from the left to the right side of the track, and you're kind of flat out. The hypercar can hold it around the outside, but if that GTR is just naturally understeering wide because they're at the limit of the front axle, I'm not too sure what Saxon could do there.
Yeah, look, again, this is one of the things that is very much clearly stated in the rules. It is in this case, it is up to the faster car, the hypercars, to make a safe get around of the car ahead.
I think Harry Lawrence is gone. I've just noticed.
Yeah, Harry Lawrence has just disappeared, and Packham's now up there, and that's now a BMW instead of an Alpine up in the top 5. So 3 BMWs now have taken that top 5 away. And it actually looks like Donnelly is right on the back of Patrick Johnston, as Patrick had a mistake happen. He looks like he's dropped quite far off.
Yeah, it looks like I think he definitely wasn't on the coattails of Lucas Keys, but he definitely was a little bit closer. Something's probably happened in the last few laps, and not too surprised we didn't catch it because how much of stuff's been going on right now. But it potentially, the fight for P2 right now, Chris Donnelly and Patrick Johnston as they round for, I think Lucas has everything in hand for the last 10 minutes to take this win right now, and you'll see how that gets along. You know, obviously the track being a factor, but to be honest, when I was talking about with Peter Papiano and Tim Vaughan, when it just goes wrong and you have those moments, sometimes you kind of been there, I've been there. When it goes wrong, it just keeps spiraling. And even if when you kind of settle down and get back into a ribbon, sometimes ultimately it just never goes wrong. It never goes right. And
I'm just watching what replay's coming up, and that looks certainly interesting. I'm just waiting for Ben to get this up, but this is going to be a very fun replay as we do head into it. So we're seeing Mark Bushell approach this turn, and as he comes out, it looks like he clips the curb and just loses it into it. And we see two more cars coming up, and that's Xavier Eaton in that yellow Hyper, and just doing a sympathy spin at the exact same spot. So looking very funny. And that looked like a very sketchy rejoin there for Mark Bushell, almost coming back side by side with the car there, so not great. I would imagine Patrick isn't running defense for Lucas because I don't think anybody's catching him at this point unless Lucas does a major mistake. I think Johnston is just, his tyres might be dead at this point as well.
Yeah, and it's hard to call him Patrick. Patrick is a very...
like a slide there.
Potentially. And I think Chris had a little bit of a think about it. It was sensible. I think, he shows he's got the pace, but, 8 minutes to go. It can quickly, and you got to shoot your shot sometimes, but we'll see how Chris tackles this one. But Patrick, looking a little bit squirrely out there. I think these guys are all in the mediums. We haven't been trying to mention at times, like, it has been a 45-minute race. We're not expecting any stops right now because every car can pretty much do 45 minutes pretty safely at all tracks, even the GTs and Hypers, both classes. Ben Curtis still on the threat from Dylan King as well right now, as we've seen with the other Mercedes just behind him of Graham Hill. But we'll see how these guys get along. But it's been an absolute, I don't know, it's been Blues Brothers out there, I have to say, Luke. It's been it's been absolute content. But I've been really enjoying it, and we've seen some good battles as well. But unfortunately, we have seen a lot of death.
I do love how much we complimented them in like the first couple of laps, being like, this is very clean, they're doing very well, and then it's just been chaos ever since. But I think for the most part they have actually done well, and it looks like Lawrence is back ahead. So I'm wondering if Lawrence and I can't remember who was in that other BMW are having actually quite a tight battle there at the for the fifth position of the Hypers. I'm just waiting for Ben Hignett here to get a view on it. I can't remember who that BMW was, but yeah, they might be in a bit of a battle here at the moment, as we are currently on board with Diabols and Brian Kong, just having a nice look with those Mercedes. Again, it's those three Mercedes have been stuck together for so long, and
King, by the way, not Brian.
Is it Dylan King? Oh, it's Dylan King. Oh my gosh.
Brian Kong's not here.
Brian Kong's not here. I'm blind. Sorry, Dylan King. And here we go. That looks like a replay of the Hypers, and just a little bit of a battle going on there.
Okay.
They look to get through cleanly. I'm just wondering if...
Oh, no. Okay,
okay, so it's just a very clean overtake with a little bit of a swiggle out of that turn. But yeah, so it's Dylan King. I'm so sorry, Dylan King. I've been saying your name wrong all night, and I've only just now been corrected.
Bob Dylan now.
Bob Dylan. Yep. But yeah, Dylan King obviously holding on very strong for this whole one. And in an intense battle with these four other cars. And I believe this is to get into the top 5 of the LMGT3s as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. We did see the battle as well between Donnelly and Vintner were very close, but it looks like that's really opened up. And now, obviously, Donnelly really putting the threat on Johnston, Lawrence, and I believe it's Ricky Packham, the BMW he's been fighting. We've got a replay here as well. I was so used to just seeing a death for a replay. So I think this is Johnston and, the BMW. Oh, good save there. Good save, Chris Donnelly. He really wanted to go around. I think the actual uphill part, the fact that the track went uphill actually kind of saved the car a little bit. It did arrest the speed. But speaking of arresting speed, the Graham Hill's got to draw alongside in the white and black Mercedes inside the yellow one, and he's going to fire it up the inside. Does it get it stopped? Yes, he does. Hanny Corey, all the momentum in the world, but has to get out of it. No way to go over the rear bumper of the Mercedes, but does get it stopped nicely. He's kind of just been on the coattails of these two, but Graham Hill finally gets ahead of Dylan King 40 minutes into the race.
But that's given a little bit of a gap there to Diabolds, who's managed to build just like that little bit of a gap due to their fight there, and he might be able to just hold on to that 5th position just that bit longer. Obviously 5 minutes left of the race, so very close, a little bit squirrely there on the exit for Dylan King, but it was very closely followed by that Porsche behind. Some crazy battles out on this track as we are getting later in the stages. Johnston and Donnelly only a few tenths. I think it's about 4 tenths in between those two. Yeah, the field is certainly going to be pushing for an overtake any time now to provide a better result for themselves. So, what are your thoughts on Portimao's track? Do you like the track, or do you think it's just another track? There's a little bit of a slide there for Patrick. Donnelly looking for a move any time. I've just been ignored by Cam. I'm going to go cry now.
No,
that's right.
I just ducked away, realizing that I didn't put the ice cream away from my groceries about half an hour ago. So, and I was trying to play Tetris in my fridge when you asked me a question. Thanks for that.
Sorry, Cam. But yeah, what do you think about Portimao? Do you think it's one of the great tracks, or are you kind of on the negative for it?
I mean, I always like tracks that are a little bit left field. This one is one. I wouldn't put it in my fit. I don't think it'd make my top 20, even when it comes to tracks. I'm not sure it'll make my top 30 either. I like that it exists. I wouldn't pick it though, but I'd take it over. Like, having played ACC forever, it feels like, and obviously a lot of tracks in this game kind of crossover. You know, we got a bit of crossover because generally with European mostly seasons, you see the guys ciphering through right now, but not that WEC is purely Europe, but like there is a lot of tracks in ACC that are also in WEC, but yeah, so I generally like the ones that we haven't raced in ACC, but yeah, no, I don't love this track.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and I think that's one of those types of tracks that is a hit or a miss for a person. It depends. Oh my gosh, what a slide and a save there. That was incredible. But yeah, it's one of those tracks that is very technical, and I think that changes the opinion of everybody. I will say how technical you like a track.
It's one of those tracks where, like, the more downforce you have, the better it gets. Like, I will say. I know it's easy to say, like, doesn't that apply to every track? I was like, no, not really. Like, some tracks, like, just put it this way. You see these last couple of corners? These are just, like, understeer central in a GT in comparison to, and even some of the hypercars. Like, when F1 was here, like, obviously, it's kind of like, it was fantastic through these corners, but, like, yeah, you just understeer so much through these corners as a GT. It is definitely a downforce track.
Well, we're on the topic. We have another call from the stewards. Car 11 on lap 17 has got a 10-second penalty for a collision with car 72. I'm just going to have a quick look and see who those cars were, because I like to call them out because it's fun. So car 7, car 11 was car 72. Just having a quick look. It looks like car 11 is Saxon Hayes has received the 10-second penalty for a collision with Peter Papiano. So Saxon Hayes, the GT3, has gotten the penalty for the collision.
For that incident. Yeah, that we saw. Interesting. That should be interesting, or I'm interested in Saxon's reaction to that. I'm not in the steward box. We saw it from one angle as well. Stewards have the inputs, they have the angles. We're just here to yap. But yeah, that's definitely one for the stewards. I can see definitely maybe potentially based on the stewards' Saxon's inputs, but considering Saxon likes to rag on me for like one time I killed someone, I'm pretty certain like 1 or 2 incidents. Nice to have another one to use against Saxon.
It's always good to have one to one up Saxon, but not a great spot there for him, and it's looking very close here between Patrick and Chris Donnelly. Now this traffic just affecting him quite a bit. And it looks like Patrick's going to get stuck behind the GT3 here, maybe be able to move, and Chris Donnelly goes on the inside of the GT3 instead. It's getting close, and it looks like Chris just might have had a bit of a worse exit out onto the straight, which I thought from the angle he'd be coming in on, he might have had a better one, but I think Patrick's managed to just take that wide line and give him that bit of extra speed down that front straight, which has given him just that little bit of extra time he needs, almost a second gap between them after that straight there. But these GT3s also now getting a bit spicy. I believe that's Graham Hill. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. And Diabol's going in onto T2. Very close. And it looks like Graham Hill's going to pull off the move, but it slowed them down enough for Dylan King to get right up behind. I believe there's a touch there, and the Porsche might even take advantage of this AMG GT battle.
Yeah, there was a little bit like Graham Hill. He did deep brake light on the brake light into the hairpin, but again, like Dylan King and Ben Curtis gonna go for a little bit of a rub and a door bang into the second hairpin, and they're gonna fight on the exit. But it looks like maybe Ben Curtis has drawn ahead as well. But yeah, all of them kind of like a little bit like a nose to tail banging there. There's a little bit like a snooker balls out there. But yeah, just came with Graham Hill really checked it up on the apex as he was entitled to do, because he braked very late into that hairpin to secure the position. Assertive stuff there from Graham Hill. Nice to see, considering he was stuck behind Dylan King the whole lap. Oh, he's gone wide as well, just to really spice things up right now. But we are on the last potential laps out there right now, as the timer has hit 0 of the 45-minute round. Ben Vintonet now siping through these guys, just going to disrupt things a little bit for the Mercedes trio 1, 2, and 3. Mercedes domination, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? But yeah, Graham Hill, good to see him kind of get through all these guys now. He clearly had some pace in hand on all of them. There's Harry Lawrence now going to side through as well. But yeah, not too bad in the same things. But I believe, yeah, Lucas Keys has already finished. He has won. Shady Samuel will win GT Field as well, with ahead of Amaral 9. Patrick Johnson takes P2. There's a rear wing off somewhere. Ben Vintonet potentially might want to save it just to the end of the straight, please, boys. But yes, great. But sorry, here's going to be Donnelly P3 for the hypercars behind Keys and Johnston. But yeah, Shady Samuel, we didn't see Shady in Amaral 9 pretty much the whole time, to be honest.
I believe Shady ended up being about 3 seconds. Was that a car out of fuel coming up at the last turn? Shady was a good 3 seconds ahead of Top Bromo for a while anyway, so I think he's done very well in that race there. So the GT3 is obviously having Shady Samuel in first and Admiral Name in second. Ishan Lele taking out third, so a very good race there for Lele. No incidents or disconnects this time around. Graham Hill in fourth and Diabol's in fifth. So Saxon disappearing off of that timing board there. Lucas Keys in first for the Hypers, followed by Patrick Johnson, the 2 Alpines, and then Donnelly taking out third in the BMW with Vintonet pretty close behind, and Harry Lawrence really starting to catch up in those final laps there. I'm just looking at that damage there on the car of Matt Madden. I do believe that is damage on the front right. I don't think that's part of the paintwork, so not really what you want, but he's a good race for them as well. Some good battles that we saw, but those Mercedes, just really incredible battles out here tonight.
Yeah, I think if he made it to the end of this race intact, that's a good thing. Ooh, nice to see they have a current standing as well. But yeah, Lucas Keys ahead of Patrick Johnson, and it's already gone. But ahead of Patrick Johnson, I believe Chris Donnelly as well, for to make up the top 3 in the hypercars. So close with Ben Vintonet right on the back of those guys. But yeah, great to see the hypercars. Definitely a very tricky race out there. Shady Samuel ahead of Top Bromo, Admiral 9 there, and Graham Hill makes up the P3. So those last couple of moves did result in a podium, because I believe they were behind. Did we? Yeah, of course. We saw him get ahead of Curtis, but obviously the Saxon was ahead. But we forget about that 15-second penalty. He's dropped him all the way back there, understandably.
Also, another thing to plug before we... Oh, well, I will say my driver of the day was definitely... I'm going to have to put it on...
Oh, Tim Bourne ended up DNFing at the end there. Sorry to...
Oh, jeez, yeah. I'm wondering if there was a bit of... I think that last spin might have been a bit of a... I'm done. I might even say... I was going to say Patrick Johnston, because he just had that consistent pace throughout and managed to just hold on to that second place after not having the greatest start and being quite a bit back. And I think things worked out in his favour. Although Chris Donnelly, really, really good effort from him as well. So some really good drivers out there tonight.
Yeah, I'd give it to Graham Hill in the GT field for making those little moves there at the end that did result in some silverware. So, yeah, good on him in the GT field. Great to see those guys. I think we put the onus a little bit on the GT, on the hypers, that they're kind of the ones in control. They got to pass safely, not to exonerate any GT cars, but considering what they have to deal with out there, I think all the GT guys can take a pat on the back.
And before we do move into our thermal take wheel spin and our thermal overtakes of the week, just a little plug tonight. During this little break here, TGX is this weekend, so the Gaming Expo, and OOR will be there with thermal take once again, just like PAX. So if you are heading down to TGX, make sure you come and visit the thermal take booth where OOR will be at, and you might be able to see Glenn a little bit.
Yeah. Great to see as well. I believe, Saturday and the Sunday, I believe 10 to 5 p.m., having looked at it a little bit in the Melbourne Exhibition Centre in the Docklands. I don't know Melbourne, forgive me. But we'll see who is the winner for this round of the Spin to Win. We'll see. Obviously, I think all the entries from anyone who's raced in any of the series, I believe last week or this week, I forget the exact ruling, but yeah, anyone who's raced basically gets an entry. When we go for a spin, who's it gonna be?
Oh, Watson has got it just barely. That is very close.
that is on the line.
Congratulations, Connor Watson, for your Thermaltake $50 e-gift card. Again, thanks Thermaltake for providing those. We always do love a bit of a sponsor. Now we're moving over into the thermal overtakes of the week. I believe we do have sound for it, so we're just going to sit here quietly and let it play out. There's no sound. We've been informed there's no sound, so Cam's going to talk us through.
Oh, really? There we go. The thermal overtake pass of the week. Oh, look at this guy in the McLaren Loop-D here. Oh, I'm surprised you didn't commentate yourself. He sends it up the inside. Oh, Gareth Ravi out there in the corner at Brands Hatch, and the McLaren's up the inside and secures it for the next corner. Textbook A-class.
Clip A. A-class. Oh, Liam Hamilton. Now, I helped him with this clip because
that Lexus needs to get out of the way.
So slow. Yeah. You can see just in the background here me disappear. And there we go. But yeah, this is very good from Liam Hamilton. This is just over the course of the first couple of laps. He just absolutely sends his way through the field. Obviously, the chaos of the first race is a bit crazy, but he definitely does his job quite well. And you can see a few little incidents there that help him get through.
I think,
like that one.
That was the Lexus that made up more positions, I want to say, than Liam Hamilton, actually, at the end of the day, until he unfortunately made love to a Porsche. But yes, no, Liam Hamilton. I feel like this is cheating. The man's winning every race of the season, and he's already just flexing him just absolutely just cybering through the field as well. I think make a rule. Oh, now, Loop-D, please take it away.
Oh, this is Cam Thistlethwaite. And you'll notice in the background, I also follow him through because he does open it up for me. But this is an incredible pass as I enter into T1 there, close side by side. There's two people there as well. They managed to move their way back on the inside here for the hairpin. And
I meant to outbreak myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Manages to lose a position a little, gets a little bit of contact there with the Porsche of Alex. Is that Liam K? Sorry, of Liam K. But it has the inside for the turn 3 and manages to pull off the move. And you see just me moving behind as well and take an opportunity.
Definitely, I definitely didn't have any bad memories at that same corner a few laps later. Oh, especially coming to this corner as well. But speaking of bad memories, for someone in the booth at that particular corner. Actually, no, I went off there too, so we all have bad memories.
There I am.
But Ben Vinton absolutely sibes it on the inside there, I believe, of Harry Smiles. Excellent move there by the catcher. God, this is just split yellow propaganda, isn't it?
Oh, I think I'm in every single clip on here, by the way, at some point.
I think we all, I'm in 3 of them.
I'm in you can see me in the Vincent vs Murphy. I'm definitely in Hamilton. Yeah, I'm in all the clips. Oh my gosh, it's just Loop-D week. Vote for whichever one. Loop-D's in them all.
Yellow propaganda.
It's all that matters.
Split yellow wins.
But we are going to move into split red in just a moment, where we'll have a very short break while we get set up. But please do stick around for the great split blood.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for round 7 of your ThermalTake Sprint series here for Split, not Split Yellow. In fact, this is Split Red for Split Dead. We usually see Carnage here, and tonight I'm joined, unfortunately not by the Matt Madden, the man, the myth, the legend. He is feeling unwell, so we wish him the best. I'm joined by a couple of unfamiliar voices for this split, but familiar from about 15 minutes ago. It is none other than Cam Thistlethwaite and Jaden Ronzanella. Cam, how are you doing tonight?
My name is Cameron, evidently, by the overlay. Nice to meet you, Lime, as well.
Oh my goodness. Jaden.
But, very well.
Yeah,
Jaden, how are you?
Now I'm Jaden, and I'm doing very well, and I'm excited to see this Split Red in its full. Though according to this the screen, it says Split Yellow, so I'm excited to see this Split Bloody Yellow.
Well, if that's the color, you should see a doctor. Let's let's gloss over that. It is most certainly Split Red, that much I can assure you. And we have our usual challenges in here again tonight. Christopher Cooley, usually taking it towards the front. Aiden Squires, Breno Ellis, and your usual names. So we'll see how these people go today. Christopher Cooley, hopefully a little bit stronger here at Donington compared to Zandvoort. It was nice to see that he is not in fact invincible, and he is human. Does have a track that he doesn't lead by 30-something seconds. Do we have any predictions for tonight?
Rain.
Rain. But looking at the practice server as well, or this practice session, Chris Cooley looking very fast, a 30 flat, I believe we saw from him. So if this race does turn anything out like Split Yellow, maybe into the 29s for race pace?
29s for race pace would be pretty impressive. We did very close to see 29s in qualifying. I had a 29 on the Delta, but that last hairpin, it can never get it right to save my life. So I reckon we'll see a 29 from Cooley, I suspect, and the other two might be close. We'll see how Breno's handling that Audi. That Audi is infamously a handful in the wet. It sort of depends on how it's set up. Hopefully he's got it set up for a wet session. It is going to be full wet. There's no mixed conditions this time, unlike we had last week, so guaranteed wet, but it is only a light rain, so we might even see this track go more towards the damp stage of grip as we see the first laps on the board. There are 30.6. First laps are never going to be the quickest. Tires aren't quite fully up to pressure or temperature, so we'll see these lap times start to tumble as the session progresses.
Yeah, not a bad first lap, though, from Chris Cooley in the 30s already. And to be honest, expecting a very kind of closely tight-knit field, maybe with a few exceptions if we see some Cooley magic tonight. It didn't really have all hooked up, I believe, last week at Zandvoort. The Cooley was not really a fan of the track. But as you will know, that I think the Aston Martin, obviously, not bad to put it mildly in the wet when it comes to car choices. But yeah, expecting a small field spread for the most part. I mean, like last night, I was 1.3 off pole and I was P20, so that was it's a very short lap, understandably, 90 seconds on the shorter side generally for these GTs. But we'll see what Chris Cooley does. We'll see how he approaches the hairpin. I realise I'm still on the Portimao freaking track map right now. That's not relevant anymore. But it looks like he negotiated the chicane well. Let's see how he does have Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, it's a tricky corner to get right. It's kind of like a double apex, but I've been finding in the rain it's better to take more of a traditional line to try and get a bit of a better exit out of the hairpin and down this back straight, coming down into Goddard's, I believe this one is. It's a bit of an awkward shape. You want to run it in deep and then get a cut back to get a good exit. That's going to put him into a low 30 just looking at the Delta. Delta does like to lie a little bit there as he goes to a 30.2. We'll expect to see a little bit more there. Breno actually looks like he might be challenging that one. This is going to be very tight between the two of them as he goes half a tenth behind him. How close do you want it? Aiden Squires just not quite improving, staying half a second back. We are already very, very close, and it's still 7 minutes to go. We're only halfway through the session.
Yeah, look, it's very, very quick times already, and we know that the session will probably speed up even more as they do go around because all the cars will be on the track, and ACC likes to take its time to bring the track up to a good grip level. Currently on board with Phil Slade, who I believe moved over from Split Yellow to Split Red, so we'll see how well he does over in this split.
Yeah, don't think he even did any races in Split Yellow ultimately. Not that I recall. Maybe it was there at the first couple. Carl Johnson getting there a little bit wide and a wheel on the painted line as well. I think that he is obviously still valid as well. But Brandon Ellis behind him, if he is up on a valid as well, is unfortunately just going to have to suffer behind Carlos. But unfortunately, Carlos is actually invalidated, so he is entitled to get out of the way. And that might be. I think I can hear Brenda already.
Yeah.
To say the least. That's yeah. He kind of had to rejoin somewhere, but probably should have. I'm surprised Brenda didn't. Wasn't able to pass, and Brenda just Carlos. We'll leave it at that. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think he would have been a little bit better off if he just stayed further towards the left there and let Breno through. So we'll see what happens if the stewards may intervene with that one. He did cut the chicane, and that's probably the one place you are going to get track limits here is the chicane. Very easy to do, but it's a tricky corner. Yes, exactly. Don't want to get a track limit drive through here at all. It's a tricky corner to get right in the dry because this track is very mixed. Sorry, in the wet rather. This track is very mixed when it comes to curb usage. There are some corners that you do not want to touch the curbs at all because they are incredibly slippery. There's other corners though where even though they are still slippery, you really need to take a lot of the curb just for the sheer amount of time that you're going to gain. I'm thinking turn 4, the old hairpin, using a lot of that inside, and the chicane as well. There's a lot of curb that you can use and a lot of time to be gained, but you've got to wait for the car is going to slide regardless. As we see Breno perfectly demonstrate that one there, running a bit wider than he probably would have liked through McLean's and just losing. You lose those couple of tenths. See how he goes on the exit of Coppice. This corner is off camber, it's downhill, it's all sorts of things the car does not want to hook up. It's going to be constantly sliding as we go for the run down into the S's chicane. That is the name of it. Nice and creative from the British as we get a nice run. Oh, he invalidates. Just clips a little bit too much for the inside there. He's going to have to go for another run.
Yep. Thankfully get a lot of chances around here, obviously with the shorter lap time. See Roy Ankin right now. I did want to mention we didn't really cover it, but Underwood is in P3, I believe. I last saw half a second up in the Honda. Honda kind of known for its capability in the wet, and obviously Rob is a kind of a bit of a seasoned operator getting towards right now. But we'll see what Roy Atkin can do. 3-4 tenths on the exit, looking so. They'll put him about it goes up to P9 and subsequently relegated to P10 with the Porsche just behind him with Damiano as well. Be interesting to see how things go. But yeah, curious to see how things go on. We're talking about the curbs as well. They're very slippery, especially through the S's. It really does test the the setup of the rear axle and obviously your suspension, but also generally your TC. Oh, Rob, unfortunately this lap is really not looking too good. That was way too slidey on the exit. Carried the speed, but unfortunately didn't carry it up the hill due to the exit. And it seemed that Audi jumps up ahead. Really, people say I do a lot of wheel work in the Lexus. Like, come on.
I was about to say, look at the wheelwork. Rob is pushing this thing hard. The Honda is not the most stable of cars, but it is gripped up when it wants to be. Shout out to Rob Underwood. I've seen him in the practice. He's looked very strong in this round. Pretty much every time I've been on and actually seen him. So hoping for some strong results there. Obviously, he's been pushed up to pro, but currently in P3 there. So between the couple of competitors we usually see next to each other, Breno Ellis and Aiden Squires. Aiden, speaking of Aiden, actually down probably a couple more spots than maybe he was expecting or he was wanting to be. I was expecting him to be a little bit higher, but maybe just struggling in the Mustang. Looks like he's just not quite there. I was going to say he might be invalid, but I think ACC is doing its usual trick. But yeah, 30.7 is certainly no slouch, but I think he's got a couple more tenths in him for sure that he will be wanting to find, but not overly impressed with the Mustang in the wet from what I've been talking about. He's talking to him about he's been playing with the TC to try and get runs out of the hairpin, and the wet and the Mustang apparently just do not get along very well. So you see him drop a couple of tenths through the Melbourne hairpin, going to core a little bit back on exit, but he's going to need a bit more than that. There's only 2 1,000ths between himself and Slade, so not very much he needs to gain there, but looks like he just got a little bit wrong through Goddard's there, and unfortunately does not pick up any time. He's got a couple of tenths that he needs to find to get back up towards where Breno Ellis is.
And speaking of that, Mustangs being so unstable, we saw that last night with Josh Vediger and Split Yellow. Just a little bit slidey and losing quite a bit of time, especially in that middle half of the race as the track hit its damp stage and just the tyres would overheat. So it is going to be difficult for Hayden tonight, and we'll see how well he can perform. Giacomin doing a decent lap there at 30.8, so moving himself up to 9th. Not bad from him. Thurcolini currently in 8th, almost 3 tenths up as he approaches the chicane. Very easy spot to invalidate, so we will also be looking out for drive-throughs as Cam managed to get one last night, which was quite funny. But he improves even more, so 3 tenths up right now for Thurcolini. Looking very, very strong here in the Porsche. doing very well. And we'll see how well he handles these hairpins. A little bit up, but hitting that curb, and he's going to drop a bit of time because that curb would have engaged the TC there, as he does enter the final hairpin, going very, very wide. That's very deep. Might be just setting up for the next lap instead of worrying about that one. Back on board with Kafil Slade, who is kind of even with his lap, losing a bit of time now after the chicane is very easy to do, but might gain it back again through the hairpin. We'll see how well he takes it. Again, looking a bit wide and just engaging that TC on the exit, which is really going to stump your time. McLaren's very easy to get the TC engaged and very easy to lose a lot of the time. What are your thoughts on how these guys are going in this right now, Cam?
I'm not sure. I don't think I have anything to say to you. I think in a way you're jabbing at me. It's not on Loopy, not on at all. But Breno Ellis right now is still 2.5 tenths up. But we did notice that these two, they're trying to set up for the next lap. There is a Mustang up ahead. I'm not too sure who it is. 277. I want to say I don't see them on the entry list. I'm probably looking at the wrong one. It's not 277 because that'll be Chris.
Oh, Damiano!
Damiano is gone. I have to say, unfortunately, is gone out of the way. Sorry, 277 was Cooley, who was just ahead of this lot, but the Mustang, I was worried it was going to impede potentially those two. Might potentially a little bit to Breno, but Chris Cooley, 2 tenths in hand. He approaches the last corner. I really didn't like this corner into Goddard's. Kind of it goes wide, but kind of it does the V and gets a good exit as well. Will lose a little bit, but goes quicker by 1/10 into the 29s for Chris Cooley. Breno Ellis improves to a 130 dead 0.77, but unfortunately is going to be P2 at best for Breno. Kafil Slade currently holding down P4 pretty good. Considering its, I guess, technical debut in this split, but we know what Kafil Slade can do. Got about 1/10, and we'll see how he negotiates the last corner. Does lose it on entry and going to go very wide, hit that paint line, and ultimately will not improve.
Yeah, I think he might have been invalid on that lap anyway there as we move further towards the back of the field here. David Barker just getting caught up behind the Lamborghini in front of him. If you're unfamiliar with OR rules, unless the car in front is on an invalid lap, you cannot overtake regardless of the pace difference. Oh, that looked like it was going to get a little bit spicy there for a qualifying session.
That's unnecessary. He's just distracted now, and it's just you just ruined both of your laps.
Yeah, I think so. So, yeah, he's going to have to sit behind the Lamborghini here for this one, and unfortunately that's going to be lap done. But as these two come across the line, yeah, we don't really need that, I don't think. But, yeah, as we get across the line there, pretty close towards the front, I'm surprised Cooley hasn't done his usual party trick of absolutely dominating the field and putting best part of half a second on everybody else. So I'm hoping we're going to get a bit of a close race here tonight between the top 3 or 4 potentially. As I kind of mentioned before, there's a Strob showing there from Underwood putting it up into P3, Kafil Slade in P4, Squires 5th, Turab Bank rounding out your in the Pro-Am poll. Actually, that's a very strong showing there from Turab. And then we have Giacomin 7th, Chalmers, I believe that is, in 8th, Thurkalini 9th, and Carl Johnson in P10.
Yep, running through the field now. For those of us who weren't at the front of the field, just saying, not naming names, but I will say further down the pack. But Porsches, we see quite a lot of them in the bottom of the top 10 there. A lot of Kovacs boys, and Tarab Bank as well in the Red Bull one. But Porsches were very quick, obviously, yesterday. They like the rain, but they're also very hard to pass. Like, to be honest, it's quite hard to pass around here, but the Porsches would just get up and go out the corners. Can prove tricky if you're stuck behind one.
Yeah, and we also saw some of the Club 50 streams that don't get officially streamed. The Porsches were also very strong as well for that, but I think the Aston and I think the Lexus actually took it for the Club 50s, but there is some good things. And we've got a 2-place grid penalty from qualifying for car 1. So Breno Ellis, has received a 2-place grid penalty from the qualifying.
Yeah, so we did see that earlier. There was a bit of an incident there. I think Oh, actually, no. I'm not thinking this the right way. I think was it Breno that got held up by a different car? Maybe we didn't actually see what happened there.
Right at the end there, we saw Barker, but yeah, not Breno. But I think Breno was Potentially, I'm not too sure. We'll have to get elaboration on that.
Yeah, we'll see what happened there. I do recall, I don't know if it was Breno or another car. There was a Porsche that cut the chicane and then ran a bit wide, but just sort of came back on track and didn't quite get it out of the way. But I don't think that was Breno that was definitely wasn't Breno that was driving. So yeah, we'll see if we can get any more information from the stewards there on exactly what happened with that one there. But yeah, just a little bit of impeding there, so we get a very nice shot. For those of you who don't know, Donington Park is right next to West Midlands Airport there in the UK, so there are planes constantly flying overhead. If you're anything like me and a bit of a plane spotter, it's hard to not get distracted by the planes trying to see exactly what's going on with that one. Bit of a fun fact, bit of trivia maybe for you in real life, at least in the circuit. Between turn 7 and turn 8 there, the track is actually a little bit extra slippery because of the jet fuel that's being dropped on the track and the planes flying overhead. So that corner, that little bit of section of track is actually extra slippery in real life. Obviously being wet at the moment, it's going to be slippery as we get a nice shot here following the plane in. Anyone know what that one is?
Gobby would know. Where's Gobby when you need him?
Got 2 wings.
And 2 engines.
Indeed. Just a shout out to Jean-Pierre Sinikis, also known as Peach, for the 200 Thai baht. That'll be fun once we convert that into the $5 it is in Australia. But thank you very much for supporting Octane Online Racing, and we miss you having you around as well. There was quite a demon was Mr. Peach, multiple sprints champion, and very much quite a character is this the South African.
Yeah, most certainly, as we get a lovely formation lap tour. Christopher Cooley doing his best, taking out all of the poles for these blind corners as we go along, just to make it extra tricky for all of these drivers. Bit of a nice historic track there. We can see some relics of the past there. I'm going to assume, judging by the name of that section of track, that is Starkey's Bridge. I don't think it used to be part of the old circuit. I think it's just sort of there, but Donington Park being a very historic circuit.
Probably, you can see on the right side there was actually a bridge that went over the track, and I suspect that's probably why that corner is named that way.
Yes, but I don't think it was actually used for the track. I think it was just...
No, it wasn't used for the track. It was just they did take it away on the left. It was on the left side, but they eventually took it away because it actually proved a quite substantial thing to crash into.
I can imagine.
Nigel Mansell's crash in BTCC, if anyone ever wants to see it.
Oh, jeez. We've got a bit of an information onto what happened with Breno Ellis there, which was just a slightly awkward bit of blocking from Breno at the final corner, trying to start as other cars run a lap. So he would have gone wide and might have caused a little bit of a blockage there for some of the other cars. But they are going too wide. Liam, I think we're going to give this to you to start it. Is this your standard split?
No problem at all. Yeah, so that's actually pushed Rob Underwood up into P2, starting on the front row. Honda v Aston. Both cars turbocharged, but the Honda, I think, does have a good jump off the line. The Aston can be a little bit sluggish at times, so it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, but it's going to put him on the outside. So we come through the final corner, through Goddard's, and down the start-finish straight, the Wheatcroft straight this one is. We do get a bit of a long start here, so we will have to wait a little bit of a while for the lights to go green, but hopefully we can keep it clean here through turn 1. A little bit of a tricky section through Craner Curves, especially to go side by side in the wet. So we're waiting and waiting as we are now finally green. Christopher Cool looks like he is going to get the jump. Rob Underwood's going to have to slot in behind. He might even lose out another position there to Slade behind him, as we are 3, maybe even 4 wide further back, cars out on the dirt, but it looks like we're okay so far. Yeah, I can feel Slade getting the jump there on the Honda of Underwood. It's a very nice position there. It's Breno Ellis looking to be nice and aggressive there into the old hairpin, but it's not going to find a way past there yet, but he's definitely going to start to put Aiden Squires under pressure already as we come through the old hairpin Starkey's Bridge up into McLean's tricky braking zone there, trying to get the car turned whilst you're braking into the later apex there, as we come up the hill into turn 8 towards Coppice. A British track missing a corner called Druids is a little bit interesting here. Looks like Giacomo's there popped up a couple of spots as well. He's now up into P5. Sorry, P6 actually, yes. There's an Audi in the way there still. As Aiden Squires looks to be aggressive, tries to show the nose towards the inside of Underwood. Does not get that one done. It's just trying to scare him out of the way a little bit there. Gets much better run through the chicane. He's going to have the inside down into the Melbourne hairpin. Underwood tries to defend, pushes him in tight. Will he get it stopped here? He's going to compromise his line. He's going to go wide. He's going to push Underwood. That's what happens when you run really tight. And Breno Ellis is going to take the both of them. And thank you very much. That's going to put him right up into P4. If he's going to hold it, he's going to have to now now hold it around the outside of Goddard's. There's a little bit of a bump, a little bit of a grind there, but he's not going to be able to hold around the outside. Actually, never mind, I'll take that back. Aiden Squires gets a big slide. He's going to make him vulnerable down the straight, trying to defend from Underwood. Now, Underwood's going to have a position here. He's going to try and look towards the inside, but he's a little bit far back. He goes for the send. Will he get it pulled up? He does get it pulled up. He might run a bit wide. Squires maybe look to make the undercut, but just parks it on the apex. Very nice driving from Underwood there to hold that position, and he's going to have a tough time here trying to get a move pass through the crane of curves. This section is flat out, but it is only just flat out. The car is going to be on the move through this section of corners. Very nice driving there, and all he's got to do now is just park the bus. It is tricky to overtake as Squires out on the grass. Big slide. It's going to put Giacomo into the outside. Still wobbling. This car does not have any grip. I wonder if his tyre pressures have been wrong or something, and that's going to lose another spot there. Yeah, Aiden just not quite loving the Mustang here at the moment. Yeah, either his tyre pressures aren't set right or there's something else. He's not quite happy with that car, but yeah, he's going to be a little bit annoyed with himself here. Hopefully he sort of is going to have to calm down, get back in his rhythm, and find the pace again.
Track is already damp, by the way. We've got 57 minutes left of the race, and the track is already damp, and so much chaos has already happened. Yeah, this is looking a bit bad for Squires here. Maybe he might have put the pressures a bit low to make up for the damp track, so the tyres will heat up a bit more. But we'll see if he can improve his pace again as this race does go on. We got a replay here. This is between the Kovacs Porsches and that GT, what's this?
I think that's O'Brien. Sorry, not O'Brien. That's Ryan Johnson. Ryan Anderson, rather. Gets a little bit of a bump there through turn 4 and just pushes the Porsche out wide. I'm not sure exactly which Porsche that is. They're all running similar liveries, which makes our lives a little bit more difficult as commentators. But it is one of our photographic related Porsches in there, and I believe Scott Rocha there in the purple one there. So. Yeah, not too bad though in terms of race art. There was already a Ferrari, I think, that was backwards on the grass at the start of the replay, which is a good sign. I think we're about to get another one up here, but other than that, it's pretty clean. It's a BMW are on board with there. Just as that is Scott Rosford out to the left-hand side, on board with the BMW as we look towards the outside. He's going to touch the curb, goes for he's going to keep it off the wall. He does. That is a very good save there by the number 8 BMW. But very much a very hairy moment. Number 8 BMW being McLeod. So spooky moment there for that one, but very nice job to hold it off of the wall. And we'll see what happened with that Ferrari there, just going for a spin off the very wet grass. There is certainly no grip out there. Once you end up out there, you're not stopping. You're pretty much on a one-way ticket to the wall. As we do get a replay of that one, might just get a little bit of a touch from the BMW behind. It just sends it around. A bit of an unfortunate one to see there, and not really much he could do. What's that? That is car 18 there in the Ferrari.
Yeah, so that was, I believe, a Rosser. And unfortunately, it was the other Porsche. I believe that is Carl Johnson up the inside of Pete Chambers right now. So this is the 52s, the Pro Porsche. And Demiano is having a look at the inside on Tarab Bank as well, but not going to get it done. Tarab goes very wide as the quartet of Porsches all come through across the line, but it's still going to be Tarab at the head of the field, and Carl did not get that move done on Pete Chalmers. But yeah, unfortunately, Rosser did come unstuck. I believe that was C. Rosser in the Ferrari, and also I believe M. Rosser did unfortunately also have a moment as well. So I believe they're both at the back of the field for the 7 and the 18. And the run now down into Crater Curves and then subsequently to the old hairpin. I think Aiden Squires unfortunately is just suffering maybe a little bit of kind of frustration, obviously losing those moves. Demiano getting a little bit loose on the entry, clipping the wet part of the curb. Didn't want to do that, let Tarab go a little bit, but I think Aiden was just having a few mistakes, and definitely I think the nature I can kind of relate based on the car as well. The Mustang is probably you just make all your time by just basically pushing on the loud pedals, which doesn't really go. And we see the McLaren just clatters into that's Rosser as well, and the other BMW that I did mention. They did see him yellowed, and unfortunately the BMW is resigned to be most wanted in the gravel.
No.
It does look like Split Red is living up to its name. We're going to see a lot of red numbers there next to a lot of these drivers, it seems like, in a few minutes. So I'm just kind of waiting for those penalties to come through, because it hasn't been a good first few laps for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, we'll start to see some of them come through. I think that incident we saw before was involving Francis Salmon, the number 11 McLaren. As we cut back towards the front there, we're seeing Squires hopefully... No, nothing. think
no,
that...
sorry, I apologise. I've seen another no-skinned Aston Martin Elder.
No, Cooley's actually got a
Slade.
livery at the moment. Yeah, that's Kafil Slade there, tucked in right behind Breno. I was just going to say before, it looks like Squires has found his mojo a little bit there. He's caught back up to the back of Giacomin, so he's going to look to make a move on Giacomin, who we know is pretty aggressive when it comes to his racecraft, so he's certainly going to have to treat that Ferrari like the hind legs of a donkey as he comes through there. He's going to be pretty aggressive with his defending, but it's not an easy track to overtake at whatsoever. So, yeah, a little bit of a tough one for him. He's going to have his work cut out, but if he can pile on the pressure, he may also make a mistake, because we do get a replay there of the other Aston Martin, that is Kafil Slade there, just losing a position to Breno. Looks like he must have got a sloppy run out of the last hairpin, or that Audi's just got amazing traction and straight line speed when it comes out of that corner. The Aston with its twin turbos, not the strongest off the line or out of the corners. We see Squires look towards the inside, but he's not going to be close enough. He's going to have to tuck in there behind him, as he does get a 5-second penalty for a bit of a bump there for Aiden Squires.
Yeah, Aiden. Oh, and he's going to have a look up the inside. Is he going to get stopped? He misses the back of Giacomin. Giacomin actually goes wide. Probably have to come off the brakes just to avoid being turned around there by Aiden. And thankfully, the contact is not made, but they go into the last corners now. And Aiden's really kind of got away with that one. But yeah, I was going to say, like, Aiden kind of did Breno a few favors out there, because he kind of it was battle with Underwood, and Breno kind of got through. It was a sorted battle up ahead and kind of cleared those guys, so it was good for Breno considering the penalty that he had at the start, and he's obviously gotten past Kafil Slade there. I was a bit surprised to see how much the Audi really pulled on the Aston Martin.
Oh my gosh, and car 6-7 with a 5-second pen. I'll set myself out.
Oh dear. If only you could see the expression on my face now. It's a very, very blank stare.
You know that
childish
Clarkson meme when he's looking at Richard Hammond.
100%. Childish Jaden Rondinella, I think we have here. But yes, we do have a 5-second penalty for Squires in the number 67 Mustang.
Yep. And the commentary booth returns to duo status right now, as we have injected Mr. Rondinella out. But Aiden Squires right now is currently still on the coattails of the Ferrari Giacomin. Actually, good start from Giacomin considering his qualifying. I think he qualified a little bit towards in the second half of the top 10, but had a neatish start. Nice to see. Obviously, I think we've all been a bit. We've had comments on that particular driver in the last couple of rounds, and obviously he had his quali ban, I believe, Rastan as well. So fingers crossed. A bit of a revelation, but we'll see Barker here in the other Ferrari on the back of Roy Atkin right now. McLaren's, not too bad. Probably if Jaden was here, he would probably say it's terrible, it's so bad. Anyone who drives it's a legend, knowing him. But
he's got his driver book of excuse
that
drivers.
got him back. That got
oh,
him back.
Hello, he's back already.
McLaren slander woke him up.
Excuse me?
We gave him a chance. We told him to not act like a child, but he abused that and decided to do so. So we have kicked him out of the box, but we have graciously decided to give him one more chance and let him back in. So you better be on your best behavior now. So no more chances from you. As we cut back towards the front there, we do see that Christopher Cooley has actually remembered to submit a livery this week. So no longer a carbon Aston Martin. It's pretty good when it comes to
default livery.
I think you're right, actually. So. Well, look, it's better than a blank car, and it's better than some of the other stuff that we've seen from Cooley in previous races. So we'll take it at least. But he's pulled out a bit of a gap. He's up to 5 seconds now, so not running away as much as he has in some races. But Breno Ellis is going to have to pick up the pace if he wants to try and catch him. But easier said than done when it comes to driver that caliber. Aiden Squires, running out onto the grass, got a bit of a slide coming out of the chicane. Is just pushing a little bit too hard there to try and catch back up to the back of Giacomo. We did see, of course, he was fighting him, trying to make a move, but maybe made a bit more of a mistake when we weren't on board with him. Has dropped back a couple of tenths. As we move further back down the field, we have our quartet of Porsches. Turab Bank doing very well to hold P7, holding up no one other than Damiano Thurcolini there, a pro driver, with Carl Johnson and Pete Chalmers just tucked in behind there, sort of waiting for the fireworks to kick off if they do so. But yeah, we're sort of starting to see here, just with the little bit of a train that's forming, as we kind of mentioned too before, it's not the easiest circuit to overtake on. There's only really sort of 2 overtaking zones, maybe really won. Turn 1 being one of them, and the run into the Melbourne hairpin is probably going to be your main one, unless the car in front of you does make a mistake. We see that Terab's actually got the pace on Damiano there, at least through the corner curves. Just pulling out a bit more of a gap, so back up to about half a second there as these cars do start to spread out a little bit. Everyone's starting to find their groove and rhythm and just getting familiar with the track and the grip level, which has just gone to damp.
Yeah, it's having
Sorry, you're not allowed to speak anymore.
No, I'm having my moment. Breno Ellis, not too far off of Chris Cooley, 5 seconds. I think Chris Cooley's managed to pull a bit of a gap there, and Kafil has actually dropped off a decent amount. With Underwood, it looks like maybe even catching Kafil Slade there in the Honda versus Aston. So I'm going to keep an eye on that battle, and we'll see how well that one goes.
I was just going to comment on your to add to your comments as well regarding Bank. Obviously, Tarab Bank, for those who don't know, is the father of Ibrahim Bank, who is in Split Yellow, and was very complimentary of his son. Given his efforts, obviously kind of new to the game and in ACC, and we had a lot of pressure from a lot of other drivers, the more experienced drivers, but did a very good job. And great to see that as well. Love that kind of dynamic father-son duo. And Tarab obviously doing quite well. Maybe he's got a bit of data as well, just off his son. So we see there Aiden Squires going a little bit of Squires. So I wager probably on the lower side of TC for the Mustang, whatever the low TC is, because it's the one car that actually has working TC, with the exception of the Ferrari. Most of us all just put minimum. Yeah, definitely on the lower side. We've seen in that car go for a few slides already, and I'm sure Patrick Johnston can attest to the fact that Vedegert's rear tyres did not suffice for the 60 minutes.
Yeah, the Mustang does get hungry for rear tyres through the course of a race. I believe from Squires, what he's been saying to me at least, the TC on the Mustang is sort of either, at least in the wet, is either bogged down or slide. There's no real happy medium like you might get in the Aston Martin running to that sort of 1-8 combo. So he's sort of got his work cut out for him, at least when it comes to keeping traction through a lot of these corners, and there are a few of them that you do really have to be patient on the throttle. Turn 4, the old hairpin comes to mind, and also turn 8 out of Coppice, as I kind of alluded to. In qualifying, the corner it's got a couple of crests, and as we see, Aiden Squires does get a run on Giacomin down the inside of the Melbourne hairpin. Giacomin does not like that, he's just going to run through him and forget that he's even there. You cannot do that, just run into them. You do have to make sure that you do your best to avoid the car in front of them and not run into them. As we see him there getting nice and close into the Goddard's hairpin, but that is going to be Aiden Squires with upper position and now free to chase down the Honda of Rob Underwood, who's doing very nicely in P4 there.
And another thing that we can't forget, especially with these Mustangs, is that it is damp conditions, so the tyres are going to get warm. They're going to have a bit of wheel spin as the race goes on because of how warm the tyres get and the graining that it gets because of how much it's getting heated up. So I'll be interested to see how Aiden does more towards the latter end of the race. But right now he seems to be on pace and actually looks to be slowly catching up to Rob Underwood there, just very, very slowly.
Yeah, I think we just had a moment at the Melbourne hairpin. I can see Ben fetching a replay. I just saw 3 cars go yellow at the Melbourne hairpin. Place for trouble, I believe, 18-173, but we got a replay. Thank you very much to Ben Hignett. So I believe there is a Rosser, the car that we saw for a spin at the start of the race on the inside with the blue stripe down the centre. I'm unfamiliar with the McLaren. Unfortunately, McLaren goes too deep, breaks through wide, and the BMW is going to go on the outside. Everything's looking A-okay. I'm a bit scared because I'm about to know what's happened, and the McLaren tries to come back, breaks deep, and he's going to absolutely clatter the Ferrari, and he goes for a spin as well via the BMW. Oh dear, Rosser, or both Rossers involved in that one again. I don't think both of them did anything wrong, as Carl Johnson sends it up the inside of Damiano Fercolini as well, but does not get it done. Porsche violence right now, but looking good so far. Carl with the pace.
Has a moment happened there for Pete? Sorry, Liam. Has a moment happened there for Pete Chalmers? He looks like he's fallen off actually quite a bit there from Carl Johnson. So I'm wondering if there's been a bit of a moment there for Pete.
I don't think he's had a moment. I think these 3 in front just have a little bit more pace on him. We did see the gaps kind of expand out to sort of half a second, so I think he's just maybe not quite got the pace of the 3 ahead and just dropping back a little bit further. But obviously, looks like I would say if all of them, Carl Johnson's probably got the pace on top of them, just getting, not impatient, but just sort of wanting to pick up the pace and push forward there, get ahead of Damiano Fercolini. who is doing quite a lot better this week, currently up in P8 there. I know last week he did struggle coming out of LMU into a very, actually not a soggy Zandvoort, that was my split, a dry Zandvoort, but yeah, did struggle a little bit, so good to see him back towards the top 10, but yeah, there's a bit of a roadblock in front of him of Turab Bank, so he's going to want to try and find a way past. So we do cut to another replay. It looks like we're back at the race start on board with one of your Porsches. I want to say that's Carl Johnson, but I could be wrong. As we're going to wait here, everything is okay so far. Is someone going to brake a little bit too late? Looks like it's all right. We're sort of 3-4 wide further behind in the mirror.
This is Carl.
As we're on board with Carl Johnson, side by side, I want to say there's probably going to be a car on the inside through the Craner curves. Everything's okay at the moment. So we just got some nice racing towards the outside of the old hairpin. Gets that position up, so that's looking pretty good from there. And yeah, just some good racing actually, I think, in that one. Not a bad move at all, just to get that position ahead and yeah, keep it pretty clean, which is quite good for this track in the wet.
Replay night, I believe this is Roy Atkin coming into the Melbourne hairpin, the place to be, and unfortunately, it goes deep a little bit, but then gets a whack behind. I believe that is David Barker, I should say, in the black Ferrari, and unfortunately, I think that one's got to be a quite easy one for the stewards.
Yeah, you can't do that. You may have to let off a little bit, but you can't just drive through the car in front of you. They are there if they're making a move. You can try and get a cutback and use that pace, but yeah, you do have to make sure that you don't run into them. That's kind of 101 when it comes to racing, is not crashing into the cars around you. So yeah, that one will probably be a bonk with the naughty stick. This gap here, this group here, I should say, is still pretty close together. Damiano just maybe doesn't have the overall pace to overtake Turab Bank. You're gonna need more than probably need 2 or 3 tenths a lap in pace to be able to make a pass here. Do not want to hit that curve there. Carl Johnson getting a little bit slidey on that outside curve. It is very slippery there coming into the S's chicane. Yeah, just spread out a little bit. Damiano there trying to go defensive. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's just trying to sort of defend and show the nose to Turab, and just making sure that Turab knows that he's there, not letting him go unnoticed for sure. But yeah, I think these three just have the pace over Chalmers. And are just pulling away at the moment. But yeah, Carl Johnson further back there just trying some alternative lines, trying to get a better run out of the hairpin. But Porsche v Porsche, in this case, the strength of the car is the run out of the hairpin, so you can't really use that so much like you'd be able to fighting some of the other cars, especially something turbocharged like the Aston Martin. It doesn't really get the run. So yeah, he's going to have to look at some other ways past. So he's dropping up back a little bit, so maybe he did actually just make a mistake there.
And it's looking like Aiden Squires is not really caught up there, and Luca G. Coman not really losing him either. And there is a penalty there that's going in for Luca G. Coman at the moment, and it looks like it's going to be a 15, or is that a 10? A 10 for Luca G. Coman. I imagine that's for the bump on Aiden Squires at the hairpin. That's, I think, now our 5th penalty of the race, if I'm getting my maths right. And it's yeah, the split red is definitely showing up, and Rob Underwood has lost a few positions, now down at 6th.
Yeah, that's a good catch in that one. We didn't see what happened there. We'll certainly find that one for you. Yeah, I think I've saw a couple of other penalties there. We've obviously got a 10-second penalty for Perkins, and I think Nolan, I saw further down earlier, had another penalty there. So unfortunately, it looks like we don't have the race control bot working for us. We do have it on the stream, but I think maybe something on the steward side isn't working there as we get on board with Rob Underwood in the Honda as we come through turn 8 through Coppice. Oh, just breaks too deep. Oh, that was a very big slide. Good job to catch it, actually, having said that. And yeah, only loses a couple of spots, so not quite what he would have been trying to do. It's a tricky corner, that one, especially in the wet. You don't really have any clear braking marker, so you're kind of guessing based off of where you are on the crest. Obviously, just judged that one way too late, and the Honda is not going to put up with that sort of braking and turning. It doesn't like it at the best of times, especially when you go over a crest and just running wide on that one.
And that pressure from Aiden, who's caught up pretty quickly there to the back of him, would not have helped. So Aiden Squires being able to, I think, force the mistake there, and that gains him a position up into the top 3 now, I believe. So, top 4, sorry, Kifil's still ahead. That shouldn't be much for worry for Underwood, though. If he manages to stay within 5 seconds of Aiden Squires, he's back up to 4th where he was. So he's got a little bit of work to do, but if he's able to just kind of keep up with these guys, he should be fairly all right.
Yeah, I think so. Those penalties there. It makes a tricky position for someone like Underwood when you've got a couple of cars ahead that do have penalties. Do you hang back, or do you just kind of do you hang back and see if they make a mistake? Don't want to get too aggressive with them and start fighting with cars with penalties, because what that might do, in this case, maybe not so much Chirag Bank behind him kind of being his own cork in the bottle at that point, but you got to be careful you don't start fighting and losing even more time than you would gain from the penalties. It sucks that it's so early into the race for that to happen, but it's something you're kind of going to have to play with, especially at a track like this where there's not really much in the way of overtaking opportunities. You may be better off just kind of sitting back there and waiting to see that one. So yeah, back on board with the quartet portions is kind of becoming the triplets there. Chalmers just staying back a little bit. They're still within range if there are fireworks at the kickoff, but yeah, I don't think he quite has the pace, as we do get a replay here of, I think that's Dave Stevo in the 100 Aston Martin. Obviously very close friends with Matt Madden, getting into the old hairpin, just going for a spin there. Too late on the brakes. He really likes to get loose as it is, and unfortunately just goes for a spin there. Not a very good spot to be parked as he gets another tag from the Ferrari there. Puts him back around the right way, but unfortunately he's going to cop some extra damage in that one. Not quite how he would have liked that one to go, but a precarious spot to be stopped nonetheless.
That wasn't really too bad for the Rosses, because one of them got to survive, but the other one unfortunately didn't make contact. Those two are really having a bad day.
Not great there for anyone in that situation, but a good battle here between, it looks like David Barker and Sam. Sam, I'm not sure what the first name is there for that
Francis Sam on that one.
Francis Sam, so good little battle here, and Gallagher just probably sitting a little bit back and waiting for maybe a mistake. There's another yellow flag at the final hairpin. I believe
that was car 100 again. Yeah, it looks
and
like
there's a yellow flag from the car number 8 over at the over in the good old hairpin.
The good old hairpin, the Goddard's hairpin. I think that one is what you're looking for there. Yeah, that was. That was McLeod there in the BMW, as we're seeing. Craig Gallagher's just caught up to the back of these two, and he's going to insert himself into this battle now. So that's going to give David Barker something to think about behind there, as he does try to attack Sam in front of him. But yeah, he can't get too aggressive with that one. If he does get aggressive, Craig Gallagher is there to pick up the pieces. Unfortunately, he does just cop a 15 seconds penalty for himself. So, unfortunately, something has happened between him and another car, as we see McLeod there go for a spin through the old hairpin as well. Pretty much copy-paste for what happened with Stevo by the looks of it, but does get that one recovered back onto track, and no further harm done in that one. We're seeing a few cars there just run a bit deep. It's a bit of a tricky braking zone. Oh, David Barker just gets a big snap of oversteer on the curb, manages to pull it up. I don't know how he pulled that one up. That is a very, very good save there. Does unfortunately take out the braking marker sign there. Craig Gallagher right up behind him there. Looks like he gives him a little bit of a bump. Is there enough room left? Oh, might get squeezed out of room there. Very aggressive defending from David Barker, but does keep the position. Yeah, that was a very good moment. I'd love to see that one on board. That might be a bit of a brown pants moment. I think if we get a replay of that one, we get some time. I can see Ben busy working in the background, getting some more of those replays for us. Yeah, brown pants moment, I think. Tricky corner up on the curb, and just got a bit of a snap of oversteer, and yeah, demonstrate just how hard it is to keep it on circuit here with some of those high-speed corners.
Also having a look, it looks like David Stevenson's in the pits now. That car 100 Pitchy Boys car. So I'm wondering if he's kind of just pulled off and gone, not my night.
Yeah, we saw him had another yellow flag moment at the Goddard's hairpin. So, and I think he RTG'd just from what I saw. So, yeah, either he's in with a big repair bill in that one and going to be in there for a moment, or he may have decided just to call it a night. We'll see. Hopefully he gets it back out on track, but yeah, he's going to certainly lose a few spots and probably a few laps as we see that one there. The lovely Pidgey Racing car, the pink and blue, repping Matt Madden, even though he's not here in spirit, but yeah, his cars are still out on circuit.
I mean, Matt Madden could be here right now.
I know, he's just being sly.
No, you ain't picking up what I'm putting out right now. We've been using certain cellular devices that me and Luke have.
Oh, I see. Yes, that would be a reference.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't think we were considering he was racing, but he's not racing, Luke.
Oh, I mean, if you want to.
No, I reckon you should.
Let's let him rest. I think
we can blame you. Then.
He's quite ill, from what I understand. He currently has no voice, so even if you did try and call him, you're not going to get any response from him there of anything meaningful at the moment.
He's
so
down the pub.
We will let the poor man rest. He is definitely not. As we see on board with Damien
Oh.
Damien Mansell going for a spin.
Oh, he's gonna find the
Oh, that's
wall.
gonna hit
All the way
the wall. Ah, that's unlucky. I was talking to him earlier. He's just not quite got the confidence here tonight. I gave him a few tips. I didn't give him a tip to do that one though, so he hasn't been listening by the looks of it. As we'll see, looks like Turab Banks actually pulled away. So I think Carl Johnson's been attacking the back of Damiano, and he's having to defend from the 52 car there. So, as we see Craig Gallagher look down the inside, not enough room there. Yeah, that's a bit of a sketchy one.
Like
We can find that for sure. Yeah, these hairpins do invite a bit of a send up the inside, but he was definitely not close enough there to make that one stick, and he does not want to add any further to his penalty stack that he's already got.
Yeah, that was as close as he wanted to get to a car going around, and yeah, not too sure. We'll see if how that one goes. Just needs to be a little bit of patience. Still half an hour to go, and the Porsche just up ahead, I believe, of Pete Viney. Unfortunately, might be a little bit on the threat of Jusman now. Hoping there's no overlap. Let's not get this close. Like you're just gonna. There needs to be a bit of a better use of the head.
He's gonna
see, great. Now you've gone wide. Yeah, that was really worth being right on the back of that Porsche for. And the other Porsche of Scott Roger goes through right now. And yeah, that's why you don't, especially with the little overlap there, as me and Luke obviously know too well. You can definitely spin across the front of another car. But yeah, these guys are going long right now. And speaking, thanks Liam. You've now cursed Turab Bank. They've caught back up to him. That's the thing. But definitely, Carl is definitely putting on the pressure still. Damiano, kind of ebbing and flowing back and forth. So hard to get a move done on anything on anyone who's in the same machinery. It's definitely kind of like the beauty of trying to get an overtake done. It's the difference between the machinery is definitely a massive factor. But I think I said like before as well, here in the wet at this particular track, it's such a one-line track. There's no really any straights for any of the power cars to get anything done, and especially they're quite muted, I have to say, in the wet. Like driving the Lexus, can't really get the power down, especially on those painted curbs as well. We'll see how they negotiate the old hairpin. It is not a hairpin really anymore, but it's the name old hairpin, and they get through pretty well from Turab. Maybe a little bit better there from Damiano. Carl seems to drop back, and maybe that's where he's maybe lacking confidence a little bit to really send it into to turn 4. But they're running through McLean's and Coppice right now. And let's see if Turab just needs to do anything he does. He could have the worst exit here right now, but he could still just hold it on the racing line for the chicane up ahead. And Damiano getting a little wiggle there on the exit in the other Porsche.
Look, it's not a curse. I think you'll find I was just hitting the content button just to make sure that we still have something interesting to watch. Yeah, all he's got to do really is just not make a mistake. But that is easier said than done sometimes, especially if you're pushing beyond your limits of what you would expect there. But Damiano there still got to make sure he doesn't lose the spot to the car behind there. Carl Johnson still well and truly in his mirrors. He will not make sure he will not be forgotten. He will be making sure that he's very well known behind for Damiano. So he's kind of the meat in a German sandwich there, a bit of a sausage sandwich between the couple of German cars, but yeah, not finding a way through at the moment. He's just got to make sure that Turab's just got to make sure he doesn't make a mistake as we go for another replay here. Damien Mansell again, and another BMW behind. I think there's McLeod. Oh no! Oh,
that's a heavy hit.
That's a big one there. There's going to be a lot of damage to the front of McLeod's BMW.
Yeah, it's a racer. They did see that one in the secondary monitor coming up, and I was anticipating. I didn't think it ended that way, but yeah, unfortunately, completely missed the braking zone. Surprised he didn't send Mansell for a spin there.
Here's an inside view of that said replay, so we're on board as he just goes out, avoids. He does tap the BMW in front, and just that is. I think that's an RTG level of damage. I was going to say about these Porsches, though, I think all 4 of these drivers in this line are pretty good at defending. They know how to make that Porsche as wide as the track. And as race control says there, someone send out the medical car. He does need some medical help. Like it's the tyre barriers. I feel like they'd be a little bit safer to crash into than anything else.
Big slide from Johnson there coming out of the S chicane, but doesn't actually lose any time to the back. Oh, he just has a bit of a wobble there. Johnson is pushing this one pretty hard there, trying to make a move on Thurcolini, but still no way through. And Damiano's got his hands full there, defending from the car behind, trying to attack the car in front. I think he's switched back more now towards the defensive mode there, but yeah, Carl Johnson getting very aggressive over the curbs there and going for a bit of a slide, but still managing to hang on to it. And we still have Pete Chalmers there, just probably 3 seconds back from this one, just sort of waiting for someone to drop a match in the fireworks there. If anything goes wrong, he'll most certainly be there to pick up the pieces.
What do we think? Who do we think's got close to a DT at this point? Because I feel like this track is very easy, especially in the wet, to get your track limit warnings up, especially that chicane. So, are we thinking some of these drivers might be close to a DT?
Yeah, they could be, especially some of these guys who are stuck up behind another car. You can't, if you're a little bit unsighted through the S's chicane, it can be easy to do. So get on a replay there. It's the 63 Porsche and the Lamborghini of Clark just goes for a spin at the old hairpin there, gets on the curb and spins it around there. But, oh, I hope that's a spectator glitch.
Yeah, surely.
I think you'd be crazy to run slicks, although stranger things have happened. I've heard of a few people accidentally selecting the wrong tyre in the setup screen, but I think half an hour into the race, you would have certainly tried to change those. I don't know, Jaden. Would you care to tell us?
I don't know. I know about selecting the wrong tyres in the pit screen.
Yeah, easy to do. As we come into the Melbourne hairpin there, we are still 3 Porsches in a row, but no one really making any moves. Just stuck up behind there. As we kind of said before, there's not really any big overtaking opportunities. The Melbourne hairpin being probably the biggest one. We're on board there with, I want to say that's a McLaren rear wing, but I could be wrong. If David Barker gets a bit of a slide, an even bigger slide, and he goes around. No, he managed to save that one as well. The Ferrari TC coming in clutch there and just stopping him from going around, but that was a good save. And yes, that would have been the rear wing of Sam, so I was right. I do know the McLaren well.
Got that pretty right. Great save, ThermalTake save of the week, I'd say. Some good battles.
You should have said, Liam, you don't know the McLaren rear wing too well because you're never behind loop deep.
That is true. Whoa, Johnson! Oh, Johnson going for a huge moment there, but yeah, as he somehow gets away with that, not to lose too much time. And I mean, there's a couple.
He's braked on the left side curb.
He's hit the outside curb
on the rear left as well.
Oh, he's done very well to just not completely loop that set into the barrier. That was a very, very good save. I think he needs to come in for a change of underwear, if anything, but we'll see if he's able to catch back up, dropping back 5 or 6 seconds by the looks of that. But yeah, I think he's got the pace on these two, so I reckon 26 minutes left. I think he will still be able to catch up that one. If he hasn't overcooked the rear tyres, they will not have loved that one.
Seconds. I spelled seconds wrong. 6 or 7 seconds, I reckon it's more close to, but clearly I'm wrong. Looking good though. Aiden Squires actually looks like he's on the back of Kafil Slade almost now. I believe it's less than a second between those two. So some good battles down the field, and I feel like this is going to open up for Thurcolini to now be able to attempt to move on Turab Bank, because he doesn't have the worry of having Carl Johnson right behind him as well. So we're seeing as they're coming down 3/10 between them after the hairpin, going down to T1. I don't think the move will be made here. I think it will be made more towards the old hairpin. It's just giving them that little bit of space as they come around, both getting on that curb, so maybe a bit of TC flickering. Very close as they're coming down towards the old hairpin. We're looking for a slight move, maybe a little bit of a mistake here from Turab as he does go wide and has a bit of a slide. This could be the moment. Thurcolini does go around, and it's around the outside for this next turn. And a little bit of a touch, it looks like. It scrubs in the wall.
That was a big touch. And I think ACC physics just taken over there. It didn't really look like it was actually much of a contact. It looks like there was a tiny bump that unfortunately has absolutely sent Turab out. And we'll get a replay of that one.
Watch Damien on the curb on the left side.
Yeah, turn 5, turn 6. So Thurkel, yeah, it's a bit of a touch, and actually it actually moved the car around for a bigger slide than I kind of expected there. Unfortunately, yeah, just getting escorted out wide. It looked a bit like Bank was on the inside and just sort of clipped a lot of curb at turn 5, which maybe unsettled the car and pushed him in towards Damiano. But yeah, that's a bit of a messy one. We'll see what happens with the stewards, but I think if anything, that's probably more towards a racing instead of just a couple of cars trying to occupy the same piece of circuit. That will obviously invite Carl Johnson up to the back of Turab Bank, but that car is not going to be very happy. He'll be running a fair bit of damage after sideswiping the wall that hard, probably 5 or 6 seconds at least. Being side damage, not quite so bad, but yeah, it's going to be an ill-handling car, and I think Carl Johnson will be very eager to... Actually, not Carl Johnson, sorry, it's Chalmers that's gotten back on that one there. Going to be eager to make a move on that one.
Yeah, I think I think there's actually a lot more damage because you can see that front left light flickering, which is a usually pretty bad sign that you've got a lot more damage, probably closer to maybe 20 seconds, I reckon. Yeah, both cars kind of... I thought potentially that Damiano hit the curb and got a slide, but I think he did, but I don't think he actually deviated too much from his side. I think they kind of just gravitated a little bit to the middle part, and unfortunately the contact was enough. A little bit maybe ACC physics, but also it was kind of front of Tarab's car to the rear of Fercolini's, and kind of just unsettles the balance. But yeah, we'll see if how he responds. Yeah, to be fair, if you're gonna have damage in the wet is not too bad. It kind of can mask a lot of the performance of the car, but we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, as we see David Barker there, I'm not sure if that's a position. I'm trying to get a number on what that
It was.
So that was Sam. It was a move for position. I wonder if Sam, it looks like he might have run a bit wide there through Coppice, not getting the exit that he would have needed, and that has allowed David Barker to just kind of motor on through, not really challenging too much.
Oh, A44 yellowed at the hairpin. That's Damiano.
Oh, no.
Oh.
More not contact this one. I think he's going to be done that on his own. Unless, no, because he would have got past Bank.
Car's ahead.
Oh, there's another moment there. Yeah, that Porsche is going to be very ill handling. But it's actually, no, I'm surprised. To be honest, Tarab Bank is actually caught up to the back of Johnson rather than Chalmers getting a move done on him. So we'll see what. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's a spectator thing and that car's not as damaged as we thought, but yeah, maybe it's not as bad, because I would expect that to be very heavily damaged and wanting to come in and repair that. Damiano there getting into the Melbourne hairpin. Does he just light it up on power and lose it? He does. His TC's off. TC is off. No. I don't think that's going to be the strat in the wet there. I maybe accidentally popped the switch there, but yeah, potentially.
Some switchery.
Yeah, something definitely not going right there. Just got on the power and looped it on his own. Unfortunate for that one there, has dropped him back down to P14, so he actually lost a lot of time in that one. Not going to be very pleased with himself, and especially if that was an equipment issue, then yeah, very, very upset I imagine he will be. Pete Chalmers on the back of Bank. Yeah, and speaking of that moment between Bank and Damiano, I wonder if we can possibly get a replay of, like, not quite chase cam, but some sort of side-by-side replay. I'd love to see whether that car actually moves across, or whether kind of two cars met in the middle. I think that was kind of what happened there. So no penalties as of yet, but I definitely dare say the stewards will be taking a further look at that one.
But they haven't shied away from penalties tonight. There's a sea of red penalties on there, and we're moving into that replay now. So we're looking from above on the helicopter cam as they do come. It looks like yeah, so it looks like, I don't know, because Cercolini does come a bit left, but you also see Tarab still coming a bit to the right. It is a very shaky incident. It looks like Aiden's managed to get side by side with Slade, but doesn't get the move pulled off.
Yeah, it looks to have an outside move around the outside of turn 7. You're really not going to find a way past there. It's a very long corner. Oh, that Mustang moving all over the place. That TC is definitely quite low at the moment. Just giving Slade there a bit of breathing room as we come into the S's chicane. But yes, Squires, that was maybe a little bit desperate there. But yeah, watch this. I think Damiano, you're right. I think he gets on the curb, but he does get a slide and moves back towards the right a little bit as... sorry, to the left is, yeah, that's a tough one to call. I think it's kind of one car going right, one car going left, and they just sort of met in the middle. That's a tough one to call. We'll leave that one to the stewards, but I think that's going to be a racing incident, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really tricky to call. I have to say, like, I had 3 instances where I went on the outside through that. I was where Demio was, because the car would get a bad run through the old hairpin. I did that 3 times last night, and both cars kind of always had to give a little bit of a lift through the turn 5, the left-hander, after the old hairpin, because if they're both throttled up, and I was, kind of been around long enough to consciously know that that curb, even at those speeds, you think the downforce will do its magic, but in the wet, it will definitely, that curb can still, because you're pretty much putting maximum load into the car. The car is completely loaded up, and that's why the car can really fire off in the way that we saw as well to put a Porsche. Any slight disruption when the car is at that loaded up and at that speed, you can really send it off in completely other directions.
In terms of the damage on Turab's car, like we see his pace is still actually not that bad. I'm wondering if most of it... Oh, there's a slide there from Kafil, which might actually open this up for Aiden really quickly. I reckon it's mostly on the side, the damage, and it's probably, I'm going to say, about 15. It looks like Aiden's looking for a move, just showing himself in the mirrors. He's gonna wait till after the chicane, maybe go for it in the hairpin, but doesn't get as much of a good exit as the Aston does. Aston obviously really, really good in these conditions. I think it's definitely one of the best alongside the Porsche. So good. And then the Aston going a little bit wide, missing apex just a little bit, but Aiden not getting as good of an exit as that Aston there. You'd think that the Aston, with its bogging down that it normally does, it would probably do a little bit worse, but the Mustang has the restrictor here, the 19% restrictor on the engine, so not as great as it used to be. So not being able to make the move on that lap there, but we'll see what he can do on this one.
Yeah, I think you're right there, but we're seeing in the behavior of these cars, they're behaving very differently. The Aston does get held by a bit of decent TC, and I think the Mustang's got the opposite problem where the TC isn't quite doing enough for Aiden to help with that wheel spin. So the Aston is actually getting a pretty good drive off of these corners and is allowing him just a little bit of breathing room, but Squires does ultimately have the pace over him. So he's either going to have to try and show the nose in a place where he doesn't want it to be as we go looking towards the inside of turn 6 coming up to McLean's there, but really not going to be able to get a move done if you're on the outside, as he just tried that before. Going to get on the curb. Watch out for the wheel spin on that one. We'll see if he gets a good run out of Coppice, but this corner is super hard to get the power down in the wet. I'm not sure what sort of TC level he's currently running, but it looks like it is fairly low. That Mustang is moving around an awful lot. They're not going to be close enough for this lap around. It's going to have to sit behind, but sort of moving around a little bit, just making his presence very much known behind there. Watch for that chicane, make sure he doesn't get a track cut. But yeah, the Aston gets to get off that. Yeah, that Mustang is just... It's a painted section of track as well, so it is inherently slippery, but you need to take it. You can't not take it, especially in these conditions. So it is going to slide. You just have to be ready for it, put up with it, and ready to catch it. But the Aston Martin probably dealing with that one a little bit better. You could kind of get away with pretty much no wheel spin, and the TC will help you out. If you get it right, you can kind of just point it straight towards the exit, and it will fire out of it. The Mustang maybe not quite having the advantage of being able to do that.
Yeah, and the chicane is so tricky as well. Like, I hate to keep drawing comparisons to like my experience with the machinery, but obviously, like, you know, I kind of represent the barges out in this commentary booth with the power cars. With the we kind of make all our lap time on the rear axle, a little bit like how the Mustang does. Not as potent as it used to be. As wide, they're very wide from Kafil. Is he going to? There's contact, and there's front damage to the Mustang, and probably rear damage to the Aston Martin. But unfortunately, Kafil going for a half slide on the exit of Old Hairpin and the Mustang. I'm not sure Aiden really had anywhere to go. Thank you, Ben, again on the cameras, doing an excellent job. Goes wide, misses the apex, too deep, and he had to kind of rejoin. He was still catching the slide. I don't think Kafil could have done much. I don't think Aiden could have done much in that instance.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for both of them there. I think you're right. The Aston Martin was still going sideways and sort of caught the slide, just ended up in the middle of the track. I think Aiden may have been anticipating to stay towards the left, but he's just come back further towards the right there, leading Skies with pretty much nowhere to go, but an Aston Martin staring him straight in the face. And yeah, unfortunately, running to that one there is going to make that Mustang now ill handling. He's got Gio coming up behind, not too far away as well.
The Aston.
So looking at this little race here, I've been watching this on the timing board there. I believe Pete Viney was just in front of Jusman there. So Jusman's actually just made a move on the Porsche of Pete Viney. And Scott Rochford has been right on the back of these two for a little bit. Also looking at the timing board while we've just got a second, it seems that Gallagher has managed to get past Sam there up in 11th and 12th. So Gallagher just trying to extend that gap out so he gets as much space so the penalty doesn't put him as far down as it would. It's looking like some solid races out here from Split Red tonight. A few penalties here and there, but 15 minutes left, and I've actually enjoyed this race.
A few penalties.
A few. There's at least one.
I think you're Split Red living up to its name well and truly with the red boxes. Maybe that's where it gets its name from. That's what everyone's trying to emulate, right?
It's like a Chinese gift shop out there right now with that many red boxes.
It's the Red Sea.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, to be honest, having, obviously, me and Loopd kind of in the same team to speak as many of these Kovacs boys, but we saw Carl, Annie, Scott Rogers was Annie, Scott, and they were all kind of in practice. But Pete Viney was strangely absent. I forgot to ask at the time, but maybe not having the preparation that he would like for tonight. I'm not sure. Potentially, if that's kind of a moot point how he went on Club 50. But yes, only kind of looking forward. Kind of nice to see most of them still going strong, because usually, unfortunately, with 4 of them, one of them usually is sacrificed for the others in the race. But good to see all 4 of them going out there. Obviously, Porsche's in the wet, at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking, speaking of watching the timing tower earlier, I was just keeping an eye. Ooh, Johnson had a moment. I think Johnson may have had a moment there. Looks like he's very slow coming back on the track.
All that praise.
I suspect that Cam may be in with a big curse here as we come into the chicane. I wonder if he's just run a bit wide and copped the exit. Oh, he's not even... Oh.
Braked too late.
He's not even made the exit of the corner, let alone hitting a curb and running wide.
That's honestly, for getting it wrong at the chicane, that's probably the best thing you can have.
Yeah, that's
He's probably still got a track limit, though, unfortunately, because that chicane's just...
Yeah, especially in the wet. Speaking of track limits, Jusman has a DT, so that is our first drive-through there for track limits, unfortunately.
Imagine getting
the 29 DT. Mustang. Yeah, not what you want at this circuit at all, I believe. That is not the way you want to go about it. But yeah, just looking back on the timing tower towards the front of this race, Christopher Cooley doing his usual party trick of disappearing. Or magic trick, I should say, actually, of disappearing. It's only 8 seconds. It's been, Turab Bank running a bit wide out of the old hairpin. That's got to invite Chalmers to have a look towards the outside. They're going to go side by side. They keep it, and that's going to be it. Oh, he's going to outbrake him a little bit there and just sort of shuts the door. No way through for Chalmers. But yeah, towards the front, the gap, it was 8 seconds a while ago, or 7 seconds. It stayed about that, so either Breno's tyres are just a bit happier within the range, but yeah, he's not really running away so much anymore. I think these guys are probably doing very similar lap times back towards the front. Unfortunately, I haven't seen too much of them, but yeah, as has been the quality of racing further back in the pack. But yeah, Breno Ellis doing a very nice job there just to keep the sort of similar lap times for Breno Ellis. But yeah, and it's also Aiden Squires there in P3 at the moment, but will certainly drop. He might drop a position to Giacomo, and he's going to try and make that gap out, I'm sure. It's only a 5-second penalty, but plenty of time to the cars ahead, so no further positions to be gained.
And there is a car stopped. Pete Viney stopped on the track. We're going to get a view of that, I believe, in a minute. Pete Viney's had a moment and is stopped on the back straight just before the chicane area. Seems like he's got going now. We'll get a replay of that in just a second. Or here it comes in. So looks like he's got Rochefort just behind him. Gets up on the curb, touches it. Yeah, once you're on that grass, there's nothing you can do. And then obviously all the cars coming, you kind of just have to sit there and wait for them to come past.
Yeah, that curb is a big no-no. I mean, you don't really want to get on that curb anyway. It's not really the line that you want to take, but that curb is like basically an ice rink. It is full of paint, it's full of everything slippery. You do not want to be out there, and unfortunately, Viney finding that one out the hard way, as Cam kind of alluded to before he was giving them all of their flowers and praise. Yes. I think coming in with a very big curse, Viney not quite having as much practice as he would have liked, and unfortunately, I think he's just found the consequences of that the hard way.
We've just gotten
I just want to ask what Underwood is. I just saw him go yellow, and he just dropped all the way back to just 2 seconds ahead of Carl Johnson. I think Underwood's had a big moment. I think at Coppice or McLean's, Mr. Director can source out for me. Just serve that up on a platter. Thank you very much.
Sorry,
but did see him yellow. Sorry, Luke, did you to cut in?
Yeah, we've been notified that the Jusman DT was not for a track limits, it was for a collision penalty. And that's the moment for Underwood there, just going wide.
I didn't say that.
And all the way around. So he's managed to keep position after this, but he's got people right behind him now, so he's got work to do to keep in front of them.
Yeah, we're actually seeing quite a lot of that tonight. There's cars just getting a little bit unstable in the rear end coming into turn 4. It is an awkward braking zone. You are sort of turning for a long time, and it's not a hairpin, but you are turning maybe as long as a hairpin. It's a very long corner, and you do turn it in quite early, take a lot of the inside curves. So we're seeing actually more of that than I would have thought. But yeah, the cars do get a bit unstable in the rear, especially if the setup isn't quite right. So we're seeing a lot of that tonight, which is catching quite a few of these people out. So we'll see if we can fish out a replay for you there of the collision that Josman had. But but it looks like it might have been a no-no oopsie at the Melbourne hairpin there. The track is very, very wide and inviting there, but yeah, we do see a bit of it, a few incidents at that corner.
As a Sydney sider, bloody Melbourne is causing all the trouble
That sounds
in
about
these
right.
two splits. And we're on board with Jusman just behind Pete Viney. We're going into the hairpin, and he brakes way too late. And oh my goodness, thankfully the BMW did not get murdered, but sure, yeah, nearly sent Viney to the stratosphere, unfortunately. And yeah, that is, I believe that was the DT for collision, and I am understanding.
That would certainly do it. If you're going to give a DT for any collision, it will definitely be something like that. The BMW is going to be, I think he needs to buy a lotto ticket. I'm not sure exactly who that was. Oh, that's a Honda in the inside. What is Underwood doing there? You cannot park there, sir. Hey, I beat you to it.
Nah, same time.
No, I definitely got there first, but
He's
anyway, he's coming to the pit lane. What on earth has happened there? That is absolutely heartbreaking for Underwood. Started in the front row of this race, had a couple of moments, but he's still well and truly in the top 10. But yeah, we'll see what's happened there. I wonder why he's coming to the pit lane though. I didn't see any major amounts of damage, but we do cut to a replay here in Goddard's under braking as the car just kind of lets go and he goes around, but. Oh, just keep it out of the wall as well. But
again as well.
Yeah, I think that something to do with the one of Mr. Heathen's many computers there that we are watching on this stream on tonight.
Definitely
it seems like I think the replay cam is the replay PC is just running a bit of a spectator issue, but yeah, that Honda, it looks like it has a weird moment there. The Honda, I don't know how many people have driven the Honda. I, for one, have driven the Honda in the wet as well, no less. It doesn't like trail braking, and if you do try and trail brake like you would a normal car, it does want to slide, so I suspect it's probably quite easy to do, just get a bit too aggressive on the brakes there, as Turab Bank going defensive from Pete Chalmers towards the inside of the Melbourne hairpin. Not going to find a way through there. You're not going to get around the outside. He's going to try and get a cutback, but just does not quite have the grip for that. And if you look in the mirrors, the Jaws thing will play, as we do have a David Barker coming in the Ferrari there. Also a very strong car in the wet, lots of downforce, and very, very good TC that you can run up high. Will not bog the car down at all. And a bit of turbo lag as well, just kind of adding as an extra layer of wheel spin protection into that car.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Underwood might be suffering on rear tyres. Not to say that I think there's a lot of cars out there tend to be suffering. It's not the wettest track, to be honest, like we had in Split Yellow. It is this kind of damp. It is wet enough that it's not going to dry out, but I don't think the rears were ever, I had a little bit of yellowing depending on what your brake ducts were set up to as well. I think if you run a bit more of a, a little bit more spicier setup, you probably were a little bit marginal, depending on your car as well, particularly through this next corner. The coppice, the double right-hander, double apex right-hander, that's where I really noticed the yellowing on my tyres in particular. Obviously use them a bit differently from some of these other cars, but yeah, I think the Honda, I haven't driven it in a long time. I do remember it being a bit of a tyre shredder. You kind of are using you're putting a lot of boost through those rears. And Pete Chalmers, I should say, looked like he had a bit of a good exit in comparison to Turab. Turab doing enough right now, still doing well, despite the damage he had earlier. I have to say, I did expect a lot more, but as I said, the rain can mask it, and as long as if the car turns, if it goes straight, it steers straight, and it should be sufficient. But yeah, you get the sense Chalmers like, I need to get through because Barker he's not even arriving. He's here. He's pretty much here, and they really don't want to get involved with Barker as well. If there is an incident, it really doesn't affect their race because he's already got a penalty as well, and they just don't want to be involved in any drama right now. But just over 5 minutes to go, these two are looking pretty good for a potential P7 and 8.
Yeah, Chalmers is going to be acutely aware that David Barker is certainly coming, and yeah, he doesn't have the greatest deal of patience I think we've seen. He will certainly go for pretty much any gap that you present. Chalmers being quite good at defending though, so he's going to have his work cut out for him here trying to attack and defend. But yeah, Barker, you really can't give him much of an opportunity because he will take every single one that you present him with.
Again, this is the problem with Porsche and Porsche Action. It's like they both have the same strengths. It is all about a mistake.
Bank
and all
wide.
we'll be waiting for is, Turab Bank to go wide or have a slide, which he did have a bit of a slide there, but managed to pull out even quicker than Pete Chalmers could there. But Oh, this is going to
Oh!
be close there. He's hit the curb on the braking zone, I think, and he's just not been able to slow up quickly, which is going to open it up for Barker to go for a move into the hairpin, and it's getting close. Pete Chalmers moving to defend, but it looks like Barker's taking the inside, so Pete Chalmers just going to not give him room. He's pushed him off. I'm thinking a number might be called there from at least one of them.
Yeah, that's kind of going to happen when you start squeezing drivers that far to the inside. I'm going to look through Chalmers being very late on the brakes there, being super aggressive, trying to get that position back. I did note before, at least Terra Bank, and I'm not sure if he's just following for the slipstream there, that Porsche getting a good exit now versus the Ferrari, but he's going to be on the outside of turn 1. You're really going to struggle to get a move done there, but he may send Barker deep, try and look for a cutback if he's got the front end grip to get the turn done, but doesn't quite get up on that outside curb, which is also quite slippery. It's going to just make the car erupt into wheel spin and limit that traction, so going to be stuck behind in there. But I did see, at least from Bank coming out of Coffis, he moved straight away back towards the inside. It was something we did see last night as well, and what that's going to be doing is trying to look for the wetter sections of the track. You can see a bit of a dry line there because it is only damp, and just trying to cool those wet tyres down and give them a bit more water. Much softer compound than the dry tyres, so used to dealing with colder temperatures, so as the track starts to dry, those wet tyres are going to basically turn into nice soft marshmallows and start to give you less and less grip. As we see Clark there just getting out of the way of these two. Nice and well, yeah, nicely done from Clark there. Yeah, this wet's just going to kind of stop giving you less and less grip, and the issue is it kind of snowballs from there because you've got less grip. The car slides around more, which means you heat the tyres, which means they get worse, and yeah, you're going to want to stop that from happening best you can.
As we do head into these final 3 minutes of the race, I'm kind of looking at the timing board to see how penalties are going to affect everybody, and it does look like Aiden Squires is only going to drop maybe one position because he has about a 6 second gap there on Phil Slade to maybe a 7 second gap there. So he's going to be just only dropping one position to Luca Giacomin, but Luca Giacomin's got a 10-second penalty. I didn't even mean to, by the way. I was completely focused on what I was talking about. But lucky for Aiden Squires, I think he'll keep the podium because Luca Giacomin has that 10-second penalty. So this actually might work out quite well for Aiden, even with that 5-second penalty there.
Yeah, I think so, as we just carve our way through the through some back markers here, some blue flag traffic. Probably, what have we got? 2 laps left to go, just looking at where Cooley is there. Breno's actually caught in there by around a second, so either some blue flag traffic has played a part in that. The traffic on this track, it's not particularly big, and there's not many big opportunities to get out of the way, especially sort of the bottom half of that circuit. It's really all corners, so a bit of a hard one to move out of the way for in some spots. So either he's just lost a bit of time in some traffic, or Breno's tyres maybe are a little bit happier than Cooley's. But yeah, certainly under no threat from the Audi behind, but has caught him just a little bit.
And those times fluctuating a lot. Obviously, the last sector, especially of this track, has pretty terrible delta spots. So all the deltas get mixed up for a few seconds. But yeah, it looks like Aiden Squires has definitely got that in the bag, a decent amount of time between him and Slade. But it does look like Slade might be trying to speed up a little bit in that Aston and trying to get rid of that gap to maybe steal that 3rd place from Aiden in the last 2 laps here.
Yeah, he's definitely going to recognise that he's only got... that Giacomin's got a big penalty and Squires has got the 5-second penalty as well. So if he can finish within 5 seconds of Squires, he will take that podium away from Aiden. So both of these drivers are going to be acutely aware of that and trying to pull out as much of a margin as they can. Unfortunately, Squires, they're just looking at some more lap traffic, which is not what you want to see when you are trying to pull a gap, because you will... Obviously, the drivers do have, I think, about 4 quarters before they need to move out of the way. The OR blue flag rule does mean that they do need to move, but sometimes you just don't have a great spot. You'll catch them at the wrong part of the circuit, and you will lose time. And just looking at this is a bit messy up ahead. Cars fighting for position as well. Yeah, there's no 2 ways about it. Aiden is absolutely going to lose some time from this.
Yeah, 3 of them. Looks like Jusmin, Pete Viney, and Perkins as well. And it got really, really close. I was very scared that Pete Viney was going to go around there, as the nose of the BMW was just alongside into the Melbourne hairpin. It's been the place for all the action, not just in this split. Split yellow as well was no different as well when it comes to it. But they run out through, and these guys really need to be attentive. They're within 1 second now. There should be a blue flag. And Jusmin isn't going to get out of it now. I'm hoping he is aware, but we'll see how it goes. The Lay Perkin really trying to put all the all of it on Pete Viney right there. He does draw alongside a little bit of a better exit, but he's going to run wide and make the line longer and ultimately lose that pace. And Aiden's like, please get out the way. And Jusman needs to be the first one to falter. He needs to recognize, and he needs to get out of here. He has a short straight, and he's still not going to. Come on now. This is silly. You've been around long enough. Aiden's going to force the issue, send it up the inside. I'm not too surprised. I'll be tempted to do the same, because if they're not going to let you go in the obvious places, then sometimes you just have to make it your own. But it is going to be Pete Whitey still on the threat from Perkins, and I'm hoping Perkins has got the mirrors up as well. So close. That's such a better run. Speaking of better run, Aiden's going to get this one. I think it'll make it simple and hopefully
it's close.
Lachlan. Oh, Pete Perkins, you should.
Oh no! Oh, he doesn't go around. But Giacomo runs to the back of him. It is all kicking off here in the very last moment of this lap. But what this is going to do is, this is not very close, because Slade is going to catch these two a massive amount because of all this blue flag traffic. And I did say Aiden's going to get held up, but I didn't think he's going to get held up that badly there. With these two, as we see them cross the line.
That's him there. I'm pretty sure it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
really,
that is.
Underwood.
I think that's in. I think that's. I think Aiden Squires is going to drop behind Kefil Slade because of that traffic.
I think so. It's probably about half a second in. It was at 3.2, 1.3. It's about 4.5 seconds. I think he's got that one. I think we may see some late race penalties come in for that traffic, because that was not very good, if I'm honest, in terms of blue flags.
Congrats, Chris Cooley, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
good race for Chris Cooley.
Yes, he was there. He did turn up, and I think we didn't see any of it, but he was there. A 6-second lead on that one.
And a good race for Breno Ellis as well, after he got that 2-place grid penalty spot, putting him back down into 4th place. So he managed to work his way up into second after just following behind Chris Cooley. So good effort from Breno as well there.
Yeah, as as Hale, the field crosses the line. Gentlemen, how's that for an introduction to Split Red? We put in our best show, and we did what we do best over here.
that was very interesting, and I can see why it's called the Red Sea.
Yeah, indeed, as well. I hope we I don't think we can never replace Matt Madden, but I think we try to do the job. We're just waiting for things to tick over. I did see a lot of people have left before it's ticked over, and I'm sure Race Director's probably not too happy about that, because it does tend to doesn't do generating the results any favors.
No,
especially some cars hasn't crossed the line as well, technically, or it might be just a bug.
I think that's because Breno's out there. It'll come through, but while we have this convenient pause, I believe there's some events coming up that we need to plug, right, boys?
Yes, there is, for actually a couple of events. We've got the, obviously, this weekend, the TGX, the Gaming Expo is on, and ThermalTake is going to be there, or of course going to be joining them at TGX. There's also a couple of series coming up again. We got another duo series appearing once again. I think it's 4 rounds, correct me if I'm wrong there, but some interesting tracks. Definitely go check that out. And I know for sure there's an iRacing 4-hour endurance coming up as well at the Great Adelaide track. So definitely, if you're into the iRacing, go check that one out as well.
Indeed. Yep. So TGX Melbourne, like Lukey says, and I've heard potentially there might be some info as well if you are around. Potentially what we're doing next in terms of future seasons. But yeah, I believe end of the 28th of March, I think we're doing Duros, and obviously in kind of late April is the iRacing Enduro. But we got the results now. It's Chris Cooley, unsurprisingly, absolutely decimated the field ahead of Breno Ellis, and Kefil Slade does get that podium. It is confirmed by half a second ahead of Aiden Squires after the penalties. So that did no sugarcoating. That affected the end.
Yeah,
that was a bit terrible.
Aiden's going to be pretty upset with that one, I think, running through the rest of your top 10. So Aiden Squires has been dropped down to P4 with that traffic. Luca Giacomo in 5th, Carl Johnson 6th, Turab Bank 7th, 8th is Pete Chalmers, Francis Sam in 9th, and David Barker rounding out your overall top 10. So we move on to the silver class. There's Pete Chalmers, Craig Gallagher, and Scott Rochford. There's Annie there rounding out your silver podium. Pro-Am, we have Turab Bank, Francis Sam, and Roy Ankin, and our sole Am driver there of Justman rounding out your race for tonight. But yeah, that is going to be Split Red, doing what we do best, providing the carnage, providing the action. It was a pretty good race, but yeah, certainly some added spice in there with the weather, this lovely damp British circuit. But yeah, that is going to be all from us tonight. Your late night Thursday racing. We wish Matt Madden well, and hopefully he can join us next week with his dulcet tones. But it's been a pleasure having Cam and Jaden with me in the box. But I wish everyone a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Come to TGX for Loopy Signature.